report, and he assured me that St. Simon's down in Boulders. Folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa.
Yes, let's get ready to rumble, folks. Let's get ready to rumble. Today is the 31st of January. January is in the books for 2024. Where did it go? I'm always saying that, where did it go? Speaking of which, where is the sunshine? My goodness, get these damn clouds out of the way. They're ruining my solar accumulation day. The sun keeps hiding. It's coming. It's going. It doesn't know what it wants to do. Shame, shame, shame. Welcome back to the program, folks. Just a second here. What's going on here? Got a bunch of messages here. Okay, cool beans. All right, good to go. Welcome back to the program, the 31st of January. Boy, I got my days messed up this week. Monday, I thought it was Tuesday. Tuesday, I thought it was Wednesday. Wednesday, I thought it was Thursday. Wasted the trip this morning into the clinic to get treatment. Well, not treatment, but visit the doc, and it's tomorrow, much to my chagrin. Now, I'll forgive myself for that error because the clinic usually calls 24 hours before your appointment, unless you have an appointment on a Monday, then they call on Friday. It's an automated system. They called me yesterday afternoon, reminding me my appointment was coming up, but they're reminding for Thursday. They did say Thursday in the announcement, but didn't sink in. So I wasted an hour and a bunch of gasoline. Shame, shame, shame. Call me a carbon polluter there for driving for no reason from one place to another. But anyway, lots to talk about as always, folks. There'll be no Wednesdays with the Colonel today after this program, so you won't be redirected towards that. We will be here, and then you can watch whatever content you want. I did a short while ago in which I reported accurately that Ronnie Lamola, the Minister of Injustice in South Africa, said that there's no anti-Semitism in South Africa. That's a ludicrous statement. Of course there's anti-Semitism. Of course there's anti-Semitism the world over, including in Israel. It's just a fact. Now, the good news is there may not be widespread or a lot of anti-Semitism or many anti-Semitic incidents. That's a different statement than the brainless Ronnie Lamola, who also claimed that South Africa's victory in its case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. Victory? I'm sorry, did you miss the point where the ICJ allowed Israel another 30 days before they had to respond, giving them 30 days to continue their campaign to take out Hamas? Apparently, the ANC just can't see the reality of the facts around them. I did a short on that, and that one took off, but now I think it's slowing down about 2,300. And somebody commented back to me, some silly comment, and whatever. I made a response to that. Let's say hello to everybody in the chat before we get going. I've got a slight headache here too, folks. So Dylan Combrick is here. John Jarvis, Chad. I think we switched the username up again there. Chad, good to see you again. And then, hey, John. Eric is here. Monray Sieberts. Nick Muller. Erica. Petra Myberg. Hey, Petra. And then Monray says, just saw a shocking video of 2 New York cops assaulted. I'm going to talk about that today. Yeah, they were released. The criminal alien invaders who assaulted law enforcement in the streets of New York were released. If I were the cops in New York, I just walk off the job. There's no point. They're now being forced to record every time they have an incident or every time they interact with the public. So I would simply just ignore the public and let the city become lawless like Gotham City. And they'll have to wait for Batman to come save Eric Adams and his corrupt city. Ants is here. Welcome, Ants. Excuse me. And then we got, who else? We got Trevor Bush is here. Muriel Haynes is back. Laudine Monday. Val Cooper's here. Allison Johnson. David Suber's in from a sunny but cold Pennsylvania. Well, I'm glad you've got the sun. I don't have it on this side of the state. It keeps hiding. And I can tell you that because right now, instead of generating 8 kilowatt hours, I'm generating 800 watts, 880 watts. That is less than 1/10 of what I could be getting. Erica can't scroll. Refresh your page. What else? Garrett is here. Good to see Matthew Dixon. How is Giselle doing? Everyone hope you're doing well. By the way, we had this person called E-Doctor come on the program yesterday. And E-Doctor said that they posted on my video yesterday saying that Christine and Matthew Dixon were nasty trolls, and that I just lost a subscriber because the trolls were in my chat. So my response to E-Doctor, first I went to look to see if it was a real account, if it was recently created. The account dates back to 2013, so the person can, in fact, have been watching this channel for the past year. But the person had never once commented, not even one time, in chat over that year. Then chose to engage yesterday and asked some ridiculous questions, and I addressed them and answered them politely and respectfully. but apparently didn't like what Matthew and I guess Christine had to say in the chat. Remember, there's one point there was a spat, something going on, and I asked people to knock it off. Listen, if your skin is so thin that you come onto my program and you're not bright enough to block the comments from people that you want to hear from, that's not my problem. That's your personal problem. You know, everyone in YouTube can block the comments or simply turn off comments. You don't even have to watch them. And as far as those two, I don't read Matthew's comments that are derogatory towards anybody or anyone else's. So honestly, that's just, to me, another troll because the person's being dishonest. I've been watching you for a year and these two trolls, I'm leaving. Well, how about you say something in chat like a man or a woman? Yeah, no, just a troll. Bye-bye. So long. I hope you enjoy your journey wherever it is it takes you. But if you want to be a man and have the courtesy to come back here, you're welcome to come back. But don't sit here and play this little game and try to pollute my message board. You think that's going to go unresponded to? No. I watch the messages people post, and they post ridiculous things. Then I put something up that's factual. Yeah, so enough of that nonsense, E-Doctor, which isn't even the person's real name. They messed around with their account, changing names. Yeah. All right. What's the song? Edmund Basson says, good evening once again. Big Daddy Libby would have an interesting thing. I'm sure he would, but Big Daddy Libby doesn't respond to his messages. Busy guy, never responds to his messages. I'm sure that his family writes to him. He probably answers right away, but when I and most people write to him, he does not respond quickly. Yep, Ken Aronson's here. I missed that. Welcome, Ken. And Nick Muller says, only 3 good things in Cape Town. The wine, the N1 North. He's talking about up the West Coast. And the world-famous Wyatt Army. Well, yeah, there definitely is a Wyatt Army in the Western Cape. That's for darn sure. Whether it's a meet and greet at Somerset West or a meet and greet at Woodbridge Island or meet and greet up there in Feldriff, we have great turnouts in. We also had the one in Parle before too, and Hermanus. So yeah, no, the Western Cape definitely has some members of the Wyatt Army. That's for sure. I hadn't thought about that. Thank you for that, Nick. And then we have a relocated transplant there, a semi-grader in Erica, who's over there now as well. Alter Bridge says, catch up with the times. Well, Alter Bridge, it may be February in Perth, but I don't live in Perth. So my clock says 1:31. Just because you're a little over-anxious and jumped the gun and jumped into February before me, that's not on me. Jan Fionen says, have an ANC rant. Oh, I'd like to. Good to see you once again, says Edmund. Yeah, well, Edmund, where have you been? Good to see you. Appreciate you tuning in right now. Oh, 69 viewers. Oh, 67. Now, we don't have to focus on the 69 because Ronaldo would have loved that. Ronaldo will not be on today. He was in council meetings and couldn't make it. George Steinberg is here. Muriel Haynes, I already said. ANC's not very intelligible. That's true. Of course, you have an amazing memory. Well done. Yes, it's a joking atheist. Yes. No, thank you very much, joking atheist. That's why I said I didn't give it away because I knew it was joking atheist, but I did say you've changed names. Yes, Chad Blingnon is the joking atheist. There, we've given it away. Your secret is exposed. The FBI and the black helicopters are en route to your residence right now. Oh, Microsoft sent you a notification update. Okay. I don't know why that would update your YouTube thing, but good to see you then again there. Grasshopper, hello to you. And Helen Rich, Edmund Basson, what did Edmund say? Okay, there we go. Menage a Trois is back. Menage a Trois says, Eric Adams, isn't he a former New York Police Department officer? It's odd that he would go against his fellow officers, especially since he made his career doing stop and frisk. No, it's not odd at all, Menage a Trois. It's not odd at all. You see, Eric Adams is a fraud, like many people enter politics. We have people enter politics, former military, former law enforcement, and they're total frauds. They do what they have to do to get ahead. They don't have strong moral convictions. I'll tell you, if I run for office, you won't see me pander. Now, I will have to negotiate and concede and reach agreement on things if I were in a legislature somewhere in Pennsylvania or at the national level. That just comes with the turf. That's what politics is about. Negotiation and compromise to reach something. But you don't compromise on your principles. Let me give you a for instance here, okay? Let's say, for instance, that I ran for the Pennsylvania legislature, okay? The Senate or the House. Pennsylvania's election law leaves much to be desired. Act 77 from October of 2019. I would love to go to the state legislature and propose a bill, put it on the table within the first 2 weeks of getting in office, and say that Pennsylvania must have same-day voting, photo ID, and federal absentee balloting for those unable to come to the polls. I'd love to say that, but I can't. Why? Well, if I went to the legislature in this state, the governor's a Democrat. The House is controlled by Democrats. So the Republicans would have to win the House, retain control of possession, retain control of the Senate this year, and they'd still lose because having control of the House and Senate wouldn't matter come January when people are sworn in because the governor's still a Democrat and he'll veto, and there won't be enough votes in either body to override that veto. So that's what we call tilting at windmills. You're wasting your time on something. So, but I won't change just because I wouldn't propose a bill doesn't mean that I wouldn't have that position. It just means that there's no ground to be gained there. It's ridiculous. It's like an impeachment against Joe Biden right now. It's not going to go through because the Senate is controlled by the Democrats and it'll stop. That's probably why they haven't done impeachment Joe Biden, because they know that without control of the Senate, without 60 votes, they'll never get it passed. In the House, the impeachment Mayorkas is going forward on a political basis, and that's fine. So when you're in government, you have to compromise to reach agreement, but you don't compromise your principles. The problem with Eric Adams is he's a fraud. He did stop and frisk. He didn't do any of the stuff that he's forcing on the police now because he wants to be mayor. It's a powerful, wealthy city. And living at Gracie Mansion is quite nice. Just ask the former resident. You remember him? Former federal prosecutor, the guy who used to support Trump. Yeah. So Eric Adams is a total fraud. The guy, just because he was in the police doesn't mean anything. Look, I served with people in uniform in the military who are political radicals, and were political radicals on active duty, but they hid it very well. But in private conversations, you would discover their unbelievable nonsense that is in violation of the Constitution. Of course, they never took any acts like that. But if they had their druthers, habeas corpus would be suspended, free speech would be suspended, and people who vote Republican would be locked up. But they serve in uniform. They get out and they run for office. And many of them get elected because they're former military, and people presume that military people are all in support of the Constitution. Well, they should be, but some of them aren't, just like some police aren't. You know, every cohort has some bad apples. Every cohort. No cohort is perfect. And even cohorts that are perfect, people stray. Over time, people stray. Some people, small number. It always happens. Always happens. So, did I answer your question, Menage a Trois? Marilyn Brokenshaw is here. Hey, Marilyn. Fantastic host. Gus is here. Brian Lawrenson. Chris, Big Daddy Liberty going through a rough patch at the moment. I don't know about the rough patch, but I do know that he's not broadcasting. Patrick Vianella is back. Even feels like I'm losing my religion. Taking a break from producing any video content until next. I didn't know you were making video content, Patrick. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry to hear that you lost a child. That is horrific. Thank you for sharing that with the audience. That's terrible. Facebook status, grief and bereavement. Oh, that's Big Daddy, not you. It's a heck of a thing. I hate feeling angry at God. Bitter. Oh, so that's what's going on, Big Daddy Liberty. I don't go on Facebook much. Thank you for sharing that, guys. Yeah. No, he's a busy guy. Well, even without that, he doesn't answer. Tilting your windows. No, it doesn't work. I have Microsoft semi-automatic notification, 6 months update, security feature. Renzo Tomasi has got a super chat there. It says, hi, Chris and all. Let me jump right in here. The ANC's forgotten about the huge number of South African Jews that supported the ANC during the apartheid struggle. The current ANC leadership has chosen to forget this fact. Yes. Well, listen, Renzo. I've said this before. Jews, the world over, should align themselves exclusively with conservatives. Why? Because conservatives never betray the Jewish community. Never. Never, never, never. Conservatives have supported the state of Israel. Conservatives have supported protection of Jews, synagogues, their faith. It is the left that turns on you all the time. Jews were highly prominent in the Soviet Union. Look at all the Jews that were involved in overthrowing the Tsar and establishing a communist state. And then they were, hunted down, wiped out, marginalized, eliminated, erased from photographs, things like that. Yeah, no, they got rid of all the Jews there that they could. It's just a long, dirty, nasty history. Yes, the ANC was full of Jews. In fact, the Freedom Charter was largely written by South African Jews, not by the ANC. They claim they wrote it, but they're full of crap. Yeah, why is that super chat not coming up from Renzo? Maybe it's a little slow with YouTube. But yeah, once it comes up, I'll ring the bell. So anyway. Did you see RG Short on... I did not see that. 5 lies in 10 seconds. I didn't even see what Fikile Mabulula said. I was focusing on Ronnie Lamola, the Minister of Injustice. I don't see if let's see if any more contents come up on that one. So I've gained another 100, so it's slowed down. But I got like 2,000 the first 30 minutes on that video. That was pretty cool. But now it's slowed down tremendously. I've heard from many South Africans that Israel supported the apartheid regime. Is this true? No, that's not accurate. Israel provided some materiel and purportedly also contributed to South Africa's nuclear program, but unclassified information and public knowledge does not confirm that to any degree. Yep. So John says he saw Ronaldo's video, but there are only 4 lies, not 5. Okay, well, I didn't see it, so I couldn't. You know, it's always fun to see Renat because it sounds like you're saying good night because it looks like good, but it's good evening. Good evening. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the events coming up here. What's going on? I'm still getting more text here from these people. Oh my goodness. What's this? There's another ad. This one's from Trump. I keep getting ones from Nikki Haley. Boy, I'm in Pennsylvania. My mailbox has been flooded with Nikki Haley email messages, and my goodness. I did see that video someone kindly sent to me. I think it was Vilma, of Steve Hofmeyer being benighted with a sword there as a hero of the Boer folk or something like that. I think that impeachment is a farce. If all that happens, you lose your ill-gained position. Well, no, John, Ken, it's the only legal remedy to get rid of an elected official who cannot be removed otherwise. It's not a farce. It actually has a purpose. Otherwise, you can never remove a president, a vice president, a cabinet member for misconduct or undermining the Constitution. But it serves a purpose. The problem is its application has been a farce. That's the problem. I mean, Donald Trump was twice impeached for non-existent things, totally fictitious, cooked up garbage and lies by the political left. And when it was proven with lies, they have no apologies. They just continue on with another fake indictment or impeachment. Yeah. And the second one is absolutely ridiculous because Donald Trump was impeached when he wasn't even a public official. So what is the remedy? There is no remedy. He's not in office. It's ridiculous. But he was, of course, exonerated. 4 lies. The fact that people will vote for ANC does not constitute a lie. Ronaldo needs to learn how to count. Well, maybe he got excited. I'll do a video in response to Ronaldo's if I have time. How's that? It is a figment of the imagination. So is the statement, supposedly, this is from Ronnie Lamola, the Minister of Injustice in South Africa, says it's a figment of the imagination, anti-Semitism in South Africa. Okay, let's be clear, folks. Nobody in their right mind can make a claim that there is no anti-Semitism in South Africa, just like nobody in their right mind can say there's no racism or bigotry. You can say the same thing, about America. How can you say there's no anti-Semitism? How can you possibly account for the inner feelings in the minds of 330 million people or 63 million people? You can't. It's impossible. You can say that we have few instances of anti-Semitism. We have virtually no attacks on Jews based on anti-Semitism. You can make that statement, but you can't say there's no anti-Semitism. Now, if you were in a home and you know your family say there's no anti-Semitism in this family, in this household, you could say that, but you can't speak for 63 million people. What a dingbat doorknob Ronnie Lamola is. This guy is about as bright as a 2-watt light bulb. Yeah, let's get to this news story here very quickly. And then I see a couple questions coming up. I'll get right back to those. So there you go. No anti-Semitism in South Africa. He tells the British Broadcasting Corporation. Yep, that's right. Yep. In a BBC interview, Lamola dismissed as imaginary the complaints by some of the Jewish community that South Africa no longer feels safe. Well, South Africa certainly doesn't feel safe. Not under your jurisdiction. There's no threat to Jews in South Africa, said Ronnie Lamola. Yep. Despite Israel's attempts at blackmail, he accuses Israel of blackmail. The UK is among the critics of South Africa's claim of genocide before the International Court and an important funder and supplier of weapons to Israel. Politicians there have been accused of South Africa of hypocrisy for its friendships with Russia and China. But it's all in their hands, said Lamola on Hard Talk. There's no anti-Semitism in South Africa against Jewish people. In South Africa, there's no threat or harm whatsoever to Jewish people. They continue to participate in all forms of social life, as do black South Africans. So I guess there's no racism either. Black South Africans participate in all forms of social life. Yeah. They can vote. They can hold a job. They can own property. They can go to prison. They can commit crimes. They can go to school. So there's no racism. What a juvenile asinine description of the events in South Africa. Ronnie Lamola is another one of these dim-witted ministers in this government. And it's easy to see why Cyril Ramaphosa surrounds himself with rubes and with dimwits who are not particularly bright, because anyone with half a brain could outwit him in a second. He's also not very bright. So let me get back to the question I saw over here. It says, Patrick's a bit confused. When does the president need to leave office after impeachment? Because Trump was impeached but not ousted. Was it that the House just impeached him? No. Okay, so here's the process at the federal level in the United States. States are different, but at the federal level, the Constitution allows for impeachment to remove the president, vice president, members of the cabinet. So articles of impeachment are drafted in the House of Representatives, the People's House. The House of Representatives must vote in a simple majority to approve the articles of impeachment, so whatever party controls the House can pass the articles. Then it goes to the Senate. The Senate then conducts a trial. It's a political trial. They conduct a trial. There isn't like there's, the prosecutor and stuff like these. It's in the Senate. They hold a trial. And in the trial, they determine whether the person has in fact violated the things that they claim in the House. You must, under current Senate rules, have a 60-seat or 60-vote decision. So you can't go with 51. It's got to be 60 votes. So if you have 60 people to convict, then the person is convicted and they're removed from office immediately. So if Trump had been convicted by the Senate of his Russia collusion fantasy of Hillary Clinton and the DNC, then he would have been removed from office. Even if it was all a lie, he would have been removed from office. That would have been a coup. That was an attempted coup. You want to talk about insurrection? The fake Russia collusion narrative was an insurrection against the existing government. The Democratic National Committee, the Democratic Party, and leaders of the Democratic Party in Congress sought to overthrow the U.S. government by removing a duly elected president, Donald Trump, from office with a fake impeachment over Russia collusion. And then they never pursued charges against the people who actually did it. They never referred the case to the Department of Justice for prosecution of the DNC or Hillary Clinton for fabricating this. This was fraud. This was election fraud. Fraud. Hillary Clinton and the DNC and Christopher Steele, all fraud. Adam Schiff, all fraud. I have the proof. Remember that? I have the proof in my hand, but I can't show it to you because it's classified. I have the proof. Donald Trump colluded with the Russians. Remember that? Day after day after day. Breathlessly reported by the fake legacy media. Remember that? Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Shifty Adam Schiff. Oh, well, Donald Trump, we have the evidence. Can't share it with you, but trust us, he colluded with the Russians. All total fiction. Undermining the reputation of the United States, damaging the presidency of Donald Trump, an attempt to overthrow the government of the United States. And why is nobody calling that what it is? That is exactly what it was and what it remains. A coup attempt to misuse the organs of democracy to unseat a duly elected president with a fraudulent allegation. That's what it was. That's what it was. Yes, Dylan, it worked. And undermined U.S. national security, undermined our foreign policy, undermined the presidency, and proved to be a huge, expensive distraction for the United States. Yep. Riddle me the removal of the cricket captain base. Exactly. Thank you, RJ. There you go. There's my next short. There's no anti-Semitism in South Africa. Then why was the cricket team captain from the under-20 team removed? That's my next short when I'm done. No anti-Semitism in South Africa, but this guy was removed because he's Jewish. And he spoke out in defense of Israel. That's not anti-Semitic? He didn't call for the slaughter of anybody. He didn't call for genocide. He didn't call for the murder. He didn't call for even combat of anybody. All he said was he defended Israel. And for that, he was removed. That's not anti-Semitic? Wow, Ronnie Lamola, you're so full of crap. Yep. 1.4 trillion rand of capital left South Africa, the ICJ case. They're massive consequences. Grasshopper, I've not seen those figures, but it would not surprise me. South Africa was already collapsing before South Africa's foolish decision to do what their paymasters in Tehran expected of them. Now they're really in trouble. Now the country's really in trouble. There'll be nothing left to steal. It'll be like Zimbabwe. Weekend in sight. I'm not in a hurry to get to the weekend. Anti-Semitism, apartheid has never left South Africa. Exactly. Apartheid, not apartheid. No, apartheid's gone. Apartheid was a policy of separate development. That's gone. What you have now is just flat out and right racism, racist legislation. under the guise of balancing the scales against historically disadvantaged. It doesn't balance the scales. All it does is enrich the elite connected political cadres. That's all it does. It enriches cadres. There is no balancing the scales. There is no historically disadvantaged group that's being served by the racist policies of the ANC. Just ANC cadres. Can Wales beat Scotland this weekend? I don't know. WP Nell is out for Scotland. That's not good news. I'm going to have to make my Six Nations picks. That reminds me. That's coming up. Yep. What else? John Hutchins in from Arizona. Well, Grasshopper, WP Nell is gone, and Pierre Schumann is not going to be enough to win it on his own. Oh boy, yeah, I can't believe it's already February. Renzo Tomasi, your super chat never came up on the screen. I don't know why. So thank you for the super chat earlier. I did recognize it, but let me just make sure that the alerts are not turned. No, the alerts are turned on. YouTube, you nasty, nasty platform. Anyway, so my grandmother's family were all shot to death by the Russians during the pogroms in Lithuania around 1938. My great-great-grandmother included. My great-grandmother had 13 children, only 3 survived. That's horrific, Renzo Tomasi, absolutely horrific. No, it's funny. Somebody told me recently that a couple years ago, a colleague of theirs told them that I was an anti-Semite, that I said things that were hateful of Jews. And someone just told me this recently. And that person said, no, that doesn't make any sense. I know Chris. The person I'm referring to is actually Jewish. That doesn't make any sense. I can't imagine Chris said that. You might want to go back and watch his content again. Yeah, I don't know where that came from, but I'll tell you what, I don't know who the person involved was, and I don't care. It's none of my business. But I will tell you this. People will lie about you all the time. I have never said anything anti-Semitic against Jews ever. I have criticized the government of Israel. I've criticized some Jewish groups for their conduct, just like I've criticized some Muslim groups. But I have nothing against people's faith and nothing against ethnic groups in particular. People's faith is their faith. If they choose to believe in it and pursue it, that is their prerogative. I live in a society where freedom of worship is a guaranteed constitutional right because it's a natural right. And I respect that the world over. Now, it's ridiculous. It's crazy what people tell other people just to lie about you. Gosh, this table's really bouncing today. Sorry. All right, I keep banging into it. All right. I'm so sorry to hear that, Renzo. But it's not shocking. Lisa Kudrow, the actress from Friends, who played Phoebe, she did that show, Who Do You Think You Are, on genealogy show that appeared on NBC for a few years. And they did her genealogy on one of the shows. They went back to where her family is from, and I think they're also from like Lithuania. I'm pretty sure it was Lithuania. And they went to where they were all killed. They were just wiped out. She's lucky to be around. Yep. A sandstorm, says John, out there in Arizona. Okay, well, I'm glad you got at it. The wheel is turning, Chris. Look at the farmers in the whole of Europe and Texas border, the truckers. Yeah, no, it all started, the pushback against the wokeness, against the idiocy, the lunacy, the nonsense, the 3,000 different genders and relative articles and, pronouns and all this other lunacy all started in Virginia, folks. That's where it started. If we're gonna mark a date when we began to turn the tide against the unscientific, radical left who deny climate, who deny natural rights, who deny life beginning at conception, the radical left, we can date that to Virginia, when that poor schoolgirl was raped by a biologically male student pretending to be a girl, went into the bathroom and raped her at school. And then the school didn't even report that to the parents, covered up the rape. And when the parent found out, the parent came to the Parent-Teacher Association meeting, and then they accused him of disrupting the meeting when he was simply asking a question, and they grabbed him and had law enforcement drag him out. When that happened, when Glenn Youngkin was running for governor of Virginia, that's the moment that the tide began to turn against this twisted ideology of wokeness, this leftist divide and conquer, this Saul Alinsky, this Vladimir Ilyich Lenin divisiveness, this hatred of others, the hatred of the other. Conservatives love others. They respect others, their faith, their language, their ethnicity. It's the left who pretends to love everyone and accuses. They constantly point the finger. They need to look in the mirror. They need to look in the mirror. They need to look in the mirror. Ronnie Lamola. Well, the Itaquini mayor has survived a vote of no confidence down there in Durban, folks. Wow. I'm just shocked. Not really. So, Itaquini Mayor Mklosi Kaunda survives motion to have him removed from office. The motion by the Inkatha Freedom Party to remove him fails despite support from the economic freedom fighters. Embattled Itaquini Mayor Mklosi Kaunda narrowly survived a second motion to remove him from office despite EFF voting against him. The motion for his removal failed thanks to smaller parties who voted against it. Of the 209 councilors present, 109 opposed it, 2 abstained, and 98 supported the motion. So they were just 11 votes away. Well, actually not 11. If they'd had 6 more, that would have given 104, and that would have given the vote for him to be 103. 6 more votes, and they would have unseated him. 6 votes, and he would have been gone. The motion was raised by IFP caucus leader Mduzi Nkosi, who said the city had been subjected to a number of embarrassments. Indeed. EFF caucus leader Temba Mvubu reiterated that their relationship was one that cooperation, not coalition, and suggested the ANC had not consulted them. Well, there you go. The EFF only accounts at Winnie Mandela House. That's the EFF names their headquarters, the Winnie Mandela House. So your political party names its headquarters after a twice convicted felon. Yeah, convicted by the National Party and convicted by the African National Congress system of jurisprudence. Yes, Helen Zille is Jewish and Tony Leon are Jewish. So where's the anti-Semitism? Jonathan, did you miss the whole point about you can't speak for 63 million people? You can't claim there's no anti-Semitism. You have no proof of it. And we want proof of anti-Semitism? It's already been offered. The kid was removed from the cricket team because he's a Jew. Dirt bin is a crap show. Indeed it is. Well, no State of the Nation address for the little red pajama prison suit wearing EFF clowns. Malema and EFF top brass will not be able to attend as the Western Cape High Court dismisses their urgent application. A last-ditch attempt by EFF leader Julius Malema and his 5 prison suit wearing brass to attend the State of the Nation address has failed. Malema Deputy President Floyd Shivambu, Secretary General Marshall Lalamini, senior members Pambo Ndlozi, and party spokesperson Tambo had turned to the Western Cape High Court to get their way back into the State of the Nation address on 8th of February. Not going to happen. In December, Malema and 5 other EFF members were found guilty of contempt of parliament and slapped with suspension, which bars them from attending SONA. They should have been found guilty of criminal misconduct and domestic terrorism. That's what they should have been found guilty of. But of course, they weren't charged for that because they're politically connected and protected. Bekele and Ronnie Lamola show up at a trial that they have no business showing up. This is official interference in jurisdiction of the courts. This is an official intimidation by senior ANC officials to get a conviction against minority defendants. Regardless of the merits of this case, they showed up in this case to get a conviction, to intimidate the court, to find these people guilty, regardless of their guilt or innocence. We saw the same thing in the case with Senecal 2 the second time around when they were going to court. And we saw, of course, Beckett Sile show up there and Julius Malema try and interfere with the court. They had no business in the courtroom. These are senior officials. They had no standing in this case whatsoever. This is official misconduct, and they should be censured for this. Limpopo father and son who allegedly assaulted and set their dog on an employee have appeared before the Groblersdal Magistrate Court facing charge of attempted murder. Among those in the gallery were several government officials, including Police Minister Beckett Sile, Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronnie Lamola, and Limpopo Premier Stan Mbata. The case against Peter Hernevald and his son Stefan was postponed February 7th, and 2 were remanded into custody. Tensions were high as representatives from different political parties and lobby organizations picketed outside the court. They were arrested for assault with intent to do grievous bodily harm. According to preliminary information, a 30-year-old victim was performing his guard duties at a network tower battery in Kwaggafontein when his supervisor paid an oversight visit. Accused him of being intoxicated while on duty. As a result, drove him to the... So these 2 gentlemen, because they're white, these officials are interfering in the court process. They're interfering in the court process. This is official misconduct, and these officials should be censured for their conduct, regardless of whether these people are guilty or innocent. Well, folks, there aren't enough new parties in South Africa, so doo-doo, kaka, Zuma. That's right, the son of Jacob Zuma has formed his own party, and he says, Daddy failed, Daddy failed. Dudazane Zuma says his father was 100% part of failed ANC collective who didn't deliver. Oh, that's got to hurt. Look at that little weenie. There you go. Dudazana Zuma, former President Jacob Zuma's son, has conceded that his father is one of the people who have failed in leading the government. The young Zuma rues how Gupta allegations cost him billions in value. Cost you billions? What have you done? What have you invented? What have you created? Nothing. You're just a grifter, buddy. He was speaking on Metro FM Monday night where he confirmed in the News 24 story about the formation of his new party, the All Game Changers. He harbors presidential ambitions. This little weenie head harbors presidential ambitions. Wow. But he's turned on his father. He said, personalizing it, we can all do that. But collectively, there is a governing party and people who sit in those governing structures. There's a party head, being a face, being a name. He's going to have to take that question. It's a collective outcome. That's why we're here. There's a bunch of people who didn't deliver, including Daddy Jacob. Wow. The ANC is imploding. It's eating its own as we watch, folks. It's almost entertaining, except the service delivery failure, the governance failures, the 82 murders per day, the rapes, the gender-based violence, the pervasive corruption, the failed infrastructure, the collapsing infrastructure, the failed service delivery. The list goes on and on and on. And South Africa busy sticking its nose in events that it has no business in. Funny how the ANC did not join didn't even do an amicus brief as a friend of the court on the genocide case against the government of Myanmar when Gambia filed that case with the International Court of Justice 20 years ago. South Africa was nowhere to be found. South Africa is nowhere to be found on purported genocide taking place in Ukraine by Russia. I don't think it's genocide. It doesn't meet the definition, but that is the story. Why aren't they on top of that? Where is the South African government when it comes to the genocide of the Uyghurs in China? Nowhere to be found. Why? Because they're frauds. The ANC are nothing but frauds. Well, folks, Western Cape fires are raging. 100 firefighters tackle fires across the province. The battle against raging fires continues in multiple areas of the Western Cape with more than 100 firefighters from Overstrand, Swartland, George, and the city of Cape Town fighting to contain the blaze. In the Overcome Heights Informal Settlement Disaster Risk Management Center spokesperson Charlotte Powell gave an update. The initial assessment reveals that around 40 structures have been affected, leaving 150 residents displaced. A 12-year-old boy was treated for burns, and damage includes standpipes, portable toilets, electrical infrastructure. Wow. In Masa Pumalele, 30 dwellings have been destroyed, affecting 100 people. In Betty's Bay, the hang clip fire has prompted precautionary evacuation orders for households from the corner of Porter Drive and Delport Road towards Silver Sands. Wow. As of earlier today, there were in the Klukkieskral fire 13 firefighters, Pringle Bay 59 firefighters, Buffelsjag 29 firefighters, Chabu 20 firefighters, and Braunflag 31 firefighters, all out working to put these blazes out in the Western Cape in the heart of the summer fire season. Well, South Africa accuses Israel of ignoring the International Court of Justice. Of course, this is because the people making this statement are not particularly bright. Israel is not ignoring the court. They have 30 days to respond to the court. So what are you talking about here, ANC? Typical nonsense. South Africa's government is adamant the International Court of Justice effectively ordered Israel to suspend its war in Gaza and says its failure to do so, as well as calls by Israeli ministers to Israeli resettlement, constitutes open defiance of the ruling. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It does not. That's just simply a lie. The city power technician was kidnapped after being hijacked in Lenasia. City Power says one of its employees was hijacked and kidnapped today in Lenasia Extension 4 while a team of technicians were busy on site. The team was attacked by a group of armed criminals who hijacked their white Toyota Hilux. GD6 is the registration. That's the model. Excuse me. The registration number is LG82DBGP, Gauteng Province. LG82DBGB. And they took off one of the employees. We're outraged by such violent crime mediated against our employees while executing their duties. More than anything, we're concerned about the safety of our employee who's been kidnapped by these criminals, said City Power CEO. Wow. Unbelievable. Wow. Unbelievable. Broad daylight. We will not be intimidated. Nope. By corrupt African National Congress, says the Democratic Alliance, after their hearing was disrupted by ill-disciplined members of the ANC. The Democratic Alliance of Western Cape was forced to abandon its public hearing on the controversial Provincial Powers Bill Tuesday evening after the ANC disrupted proceedings in Morisburg in the Swartland. The commotion started after ANC supporters arrived to protest against the ongoing public hearings amid a heavy police and law enforcement presence. Now, see, this is the thing. The ANC doesn't want to govern. They want just chaos. Go to the meeting, respectfully raise your hand, make your objection, make your point be heard, and be heard. But they don't want a hearing. They just want intimidation. That's what this is. This is rogue, lawless intimidation. You want to demonstrate, do it publicly with a permit outside the hearing. But this nonsense of this is what the EFF does. Well, bad news for the platinum sector in South Africa. One of the biggest companies there, Impala Platinum, sees a 20% decline in half-year profit on lower metal prices as demand dries up. Implats on Wednesday said it expects at least 20% decline in profit for the 6 months to December 31st due to weaker metal prices. Prices of platinum group metals, mostly used to curb emissions in internal combustion engines, have fallen sharply over the past year due to weak automotive demand and rising sales of battery-powered electric cars. Now, battery-powered electric cars are not the main reason. Not the main reason. The prices of major platinum group metals, palladium and platinum, fell by 40 and 15% in the past year, and therefore they're taking a 20% hit across the board on their profits. Archaeologists discovered a 90,000-year-old purported human footprint. Wow, talk about leaving your mark. 90,000 years, that's insane. Were they even people 90,000 years ago? Back in 2022, research stumbled upon a footprint site near the northern tip of North Africa while examining boulders at a nearby pocket beach. The archaeologists unveiled the discovery of the oldest human footprints ever recorded in North Africa and in the southern Mediterranean. The footprints, dating back an astonishing 90,000 years, were found on a beach in Larache, Morocco, by a multinational team led by Moncrief Esserati, a research professor at the French University of Southern Brittany. Between tides, I said to my team that we should go north and explore another beach. We were surprised to find the first print. At first, we weren't convinced it was a footprint. Then we found more on the trackway. Using optically stimulated luminescence dating, that's an interesting technique, a cutting-edge method establishes last exposure of specific minerals to heat or sunlight. They were able to determine that approximately 90,000 years ago, a multi-generational group of Homo sapiens walked gently on the gently sloped beach. Well, there you go. There you go. 90,000 years ago. My goodness. Hey, it's the last day of the month and people are bringing us some super chats trying to push us up on that revenue for the month. Thank you so much for that. It is very much appreciated by me, even though that's a passive voice. Israel and Hamas are weighing a ceasefire, a 3-stage ceasefire. The first phase envisions a 6-week pause to fighting to release hostages. Israel and Hamas are considering a 3-stage deal that would release hostages in Gaza, beginning with a 6-week ceasefire, according to officials. Washington says a deal to free more hostages and stop the clashes in Gaza is closer than any time since the collapse of a ceasefire in December. Getting it over the line would mean surmounting internal divisions and entrenched differences between the warring sides. Well, good luck with that, because it won't be adhered to by Hamas. They didn't even adhere to the last ceasefires, even though it was only a few hours. Even though they're only a few hours. Andreo Fick is given 140 Rand super chat, and I don't see it coming up, so there you go. Thank you for that, Andreo, and that's really cool. Appreciate it. Well, North Korea's Kim is at it again. Yes, threatening his neighbors. Questions mount for U.S. and allies over failed maximum pressure approach. There he is, little Kim. Kim Jong-un. Little chubby, tubby boy right there. Yep. On Tuesday, North Korea test fired a range of what were said to be submarine-capable cruise missiles into the Yellow Sea. Another Pyongyang weapons test isn't exactly news, but these tests mark the third set of cruise missile launches in the past 7 days for the North Korean communist regime. Yes, and there is pressure on the West for its failed maximum pressure approach. It seems like only Donald Trump's approach to North Korea was working, stroking little Kim's ego. Why are my things not coming up here? I've got alert boxes on, but I'm not seeing any alerts come up. That is quite odd. Not sure what that's all about. Oh, boy. All right, so Universal Music Group is threatening TikTok. Well, the days of putting music to the background of your videos may be coming to an end, as the license agreement with Universal is expiring and they are playing hardball with TikTok. Could this be the death of TikTok? Probably not. The Chi-Coms will come up with the money so they can continue to use that platform to indoctrinate and turn Americans against their own country. The company has been renegotiating its contract to license music with a social media site, and that expires today. Universal Music Group, the world's largest music company, said it would revoke the licenses for its vast catalog of songs from TikTok today if the companies could not reach a new deal targeting artist compensation, artificial intelligence, and other issues. Universal accused TikTok of responding to the company with indifference and then with intimidation. But the other way around, it's quite the opposite. TikTok is claiming they're being intimidated by Universal. The House committee has moved forward in the first stage of its impeachment against Alejandro Mayorkas. They gave initial approval today for articles of impeachment, saving his mismanagement from the border should make him the first sitting cabinet member ever to be impeached. The two articles of impeachment passed the panel on a party line 18-15 after 1 a.m. this morning. Speaker Mike Johnson has signaled he wants a quick floor vote to follow. Republicans said the eventual outcome is certain. We're going to impeach him because he has broken the law, said Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's violated his oath. He's breaking federal immigration law. Americans are dying. It's the number one issue all over the country. Indeed. It is. 100%. 100%. Utah becomes the latest state to ban the inclusion of lunacy DEI initiatives on campuses and in government. Utah's governor signed a bill into law yesterday that makes the state the latest to prohibit diversity training, hiring, and inclusion programs at universities and in state government. The measure, signed by Spencer Cox, a Republican, previously said he supported the idea, had cleared the state house and Senate by wide party line majorities. There you go. In a separate law Tuesday requiring people to use bathrooms and locker rooms in public schools and government buildings that match the sex they were assigned at birth. You're not assigned a sex at birth. Nature assigns you. God assigns you a sex, not human beings. Jonathan T. TikTok does not have freedom of speech. No, it doesn't. That's fictitious. I can attest to that. I had videos removed that never violated their terms and services, not once. Simply attacked by trolls, and they remove the videos. And you have to waste your time appealing it, and it's just bogus. I quit live streaming on TikTok because people were asking me about questions. I was answering calmly and collectively and was not attacking anyone and stated only factual information, and someone didn't like it and they went and reported me while I was live and my live stream was cut off. TikTok is not a free speech platform. That's a fantasy. That's a fairy tale. That's a lie. That's myth. I can tell you that. Yep. Fact. You may think it's a free speech platform, but it is not. Well, Ron DeSantis, who's dropped out of the presidential race, calls for Ilhan Omar to be expelled from Congress and deported over her Somalia First video. The American-hating representative from Minnesota. Ooh, there she is right there. Ron DeSantis doesn't just want Ilhan Omar out of Congress. He just plain wants her out of the U.S. The Florida governor called Tuesday for Miss Omar's expulsion in reaction to a video in which the Democrat said in Somali that she was Somali first, and that she would look out for the interest of her native country over America. Expel from Congress, denaturalize, and deport, the former presidential primary hopeful said on Twitter. Wow. That's some strong language from Ron DeSantis. A former senior Boeing executive has said, don't fly this plane. Says avoid the 737 MAX 9 jets. He said it would absolutely not fly on one. Former high-level Boeing managers and engineers have issued startling warnings for flyers to avoid the airplane giant's troubled 737 MAX 9 jets as the model once again takes to the skies. I would absolutely not fly a MAX airplane, one-time senior Boeing manager Ed Pearson bluntly told the LA Times. Wow. I've worked in the factory where they're built, and I saw the pressure employees were under to rush the planes out the door. I would tell my family to avoid the MAX. Wow. I would tell everyone, really. Boeing planes were temporarily grounded for federal inspection earlier this month after an Alaska Airlines plane was forced to make an emergency landing. Well, that's not good for Boeing, as if they don't have enough troubles already. Well, the prosecutor in the Trump case won't have to testify in the divorce trial. They must reach an agreement so he doesn't have to disclose his relationship with Fani Willis. And Andrea, your super chat's not coming up. Suddenly YouTube is not posting those on the channel. What's that all about? Prosecutor in Trump Georgia case avoids testifying in divorce proceeding. Nathan Wade might have been forced to address allegations and not in a romantic relationship with his boss, Fani Willis, at a divorce hearing this week, but he's been spared that ignominy. The agreement between the special prosecutor Nathan Wade and his wife Jocelyn Wade leaves unanswered for the time being a question that has created potential peril for Miss Willis's high-profile prosecution of Trump and his 14 allies. So, this is just like 7 of 9. Jerry Ryan, who divorced her husband, and went along with an open marriage and in which they participated in events with other sex partners. And then when she wanted out of the marriage, she claimed she was forced to do it after doing it for many years in a divorce settlement. Those records were sealed. And then someone illegally unsealed those records, and it tanked the campaign of the Senator Jack Ryan running in Illinois, which led to the rise of Barack Hussein Obama as Illinois senator. All because of Jerry Ryan. Jerry Ryan is the reason we were stuck with Barack Obama, and now we're going to be stuck with Donald Trump being prosecuted because of Jocelyn Wade, who makes a dirty deal to make sure that that affair isn't brought, or purported affair isn't brought to light. So we'll see what happens there. But he gets away with it. In a bizarre situation here near Philadelphia in Berks County, unbelievable what happened here. A lunatic, radical wackadoodle who is this, you have to wonder if these crazy people aren't planted by others. But this guy cut the head off of his father and went on YouTube and showed it. I have videos taken off that don't violate any terms and conditions, but this video was on YouTube and 5,000 people saw it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. QAnon-aligned son decapitates federal employee dad, shows off traitor's head in the sick YouTube video. A 33-year-old Pennsylvania man was taken into police custody after allegedly posting a disturbing video holding up his father's severed head online. Police found the headless body at a Middleton Township home after responding to a report of a death at 7 p.m. last night. We got to the home and officers went in and discovered the father upstairs deceased. The officers found the remains of the man in the upstairs bathroom of a home at the 100 block of Upper Orchard Drive. Investigators then detained a person of interest whose vehicle they found 2 hours away in Lebanon County. The station's sources believe the person in custody was the victim's youngest son, who they say shared the gruesome footage on YouTube. The 14-minute clip reviewed by the Post before it was taken down shows a man lifting up a severed head, which he claims belongs to a federal employee of over 20 years and my father, in a bloody plastic bag to show the camera. There's the man who was beheaded. He's now in hell for an eternity as a traitor to his country. The man who identifies himself as Justin Moan says to the camera before going on an unhinged rant against the government in line with QAnon conspiracy theories, calling for militias across the U.S. to unite and kill federal officials. The video, entitled Moan's Militia, was posted on YouTube at 5:30 yesterday. It appears to have been recorded in a bedroom where he seems to be reading from a written manifesto on his computer screen. In the footage, he claims he's the commander of America's network of militias as he rants against the migrants, Biden, LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, far-left woke mobs, while calling for the slaughter of public execution of agents, IRS, marshals, judges. Wow. Sick and twisted. Investigators say they'd seen the video but declined to comment on it. He faces first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and possessing instruments of crime. It's just getting plain creepy and weird, folks. Absolutely bat crap crazy what's going on in the world. So that's taking place here in America. Wow. Well, Bethany Hamilton was sacked by Rip Curl. We heard about this because she stands up for genetic women, biological women. Surfing star Bethany Hamilton doubled down on her assertions that trans inclusion in women's sports should be barred amid controversy over Rip Curl's new ambassador. Surfing brand is criticized for using transgender surfer Sasha Lowerson in a promotion. Male-bodied athletes should not be competing in female sports, period, she wrote on Twitter. Yep, there you go. So Bethany Hamilton, a surfer, being taken out by the left. Unbelievable. The Veterans Administration has decided to follow suit with what the active military is doing in allowing for in vitro fertilization for veterans. For the first time, they'll provide in vitro fertilization services to single troops and unmarried couples, bringing the agency's practice in line with the newly announced policies by the Defense Department. Cops beaten by criminal alien invaders in New York City and released. Wow. Shocking video captured the moment a migrant mob pounded a pair of cops near Times Square during the weekend, but the busted cowardly suspects were still released back onto the street without bail. The footage shows an NYPD officer and lieutenant initially telling the immigrants to move along at 8:30 Saturday on West 42nd. before things quickly get rowdy as a scuffle breaks out between the cops and a suspect who is wrestled to the ground. That's when the rest of the punks converge on the officers, raining kicks to the head and body of a pair of New York's finest as the cops rumble with their pal whose yellow sweatshirt is completely torn off in the melee. Video shows the two officers left on the ground as the pack runs east on 42nd. Though not for long. Police initially busted four of the asylum-seeking thugs, identified by sources as Darwin Andres Gomez Ezequiel, 19, Kelvin Servat Arocha, 19, Juarez Wilson, 21, and Yorman Revernon, 24. All four were charged with assault and released without bail. Fifth suspect, Yon Boda, 22, was arrested and charged with attempted assault of a police officer on Monday. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office said it's still investigating the incident, reviewing additional video. The two assaulted cops were not identified, suffered minor injuries, were treated at the scene. One sustained cuts to the face, while the other had bruising to the body. So openly attacking law enforcement on the streets of New York in Times Square. This is Eric Adams, New York. This is a city that is for a place for Snake Plissken. Snake Plissken needs to show up in New York because that's what it is. Well, can San Francisco curb its illicit drug use and its overdoses? Seems unlikely, since they love killing San Franciscans. A comparison with Portugal's approach to decriminalization shows why many liberal cities have struggled to match its success. Well, let's take a look at the figures here. There you go. There's a chart. Let me zoom in on that so you can see a little bit better there on your tiny screens. There you go. Drug overdoses per 100,000 residents. In the United States, it was 20 for a decade. And then during COVID spiked, and it has remained that high in the United States and in San Francisco, where it's more than double the U.S. rate. More than double the U.S. rate. Over 70 deaths per 100,000 residents from an overdose in San Francisco, the drug capital of America, apparently. Sad, sad, sad. Well, contaminated raw milk was sold right here in central Pennsylvania in Carlisle and Dillsburg stores. The Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture warns consumers to immediately discard all Conoco View dairy raw milk sold in Cumberland, Juniata, Perry, Snyder, and York counties, or delivered directly to homes at drop-off points in Cumberland, Dauphin, Juniata, and Perry counties. The department ran tests after 11 reports of Campylobacter cirrhosis illnesses in December and January and confirmed Campylobacter contamination in the dairy's products. Conoco View dairy raw milk was sold in plastic pints, quart, and gallons, as well as glass quarts. Wow. Sold at the dairy's retail outlet in Blaine, Perry County, and at retail locations below. Wow. So let's see what it is for York County at Castle Creek in Dillsburg. More Castle Creek is at Dillsburg. Perry County, Juniata County, and Cumberland County. Woo, raw milk. Bad mojo. Harrisburg Mall is dying, folks. It is dying. It is bankrupt, and tenants are forced to vacate. It's going to be demolished. Tenants in the Harrisburg Mall, which was built in the 1960s, must be out of the building by today. In December, several received eviction notices saying they had to leave. The reason they were told to vacate was because much of the mall is expected to be demolished. The tenants have until 5 p.m. tonight, which is in less than 5 hours. Yep, the owners in the last month of St. John Properties shared the vision for a new mixed-use development with office, retail, and dining space. Wow. So that's it, the end of the Harrisburg Mall, the dirt mall on the east side of Harrisburg. Well, the CEO of 23andMe presides over the collapse of a once colossus in the genetic testing market because they're a one-trick pony. They have no real services to provide to people once they've paid for a test kit. I'm one of those customers. Their stock, once valued at $6 billion, is worth pennies today. And this demise was led by no one other than one of the lunatics from that family of lunatics, the Wojcicki's, or whatever you pronounce her name. Remember the former CEO of YouTube? Her sister runs 23andMe right into the ground. 23andMe's fall from $6 billion to nearly $0. From celebrity spit parties to a drop in the bucket, the once hot DNA testing company is struggling to profit. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. So let's get down here where we can pronounce her name correctly, because there it is. Wojcicki, that's the name. Wojcicki. Yep, there's the valuation. The share price was trading for $11.67 in 2021, and now it's trading for 75 cents. It's about to be delisted. Yep, 5 years ago, 23andMe was one of the hottest startups in the world. Millions of people were spitting into test tubes and learning about their ancestry. Oprah had named its kit one of her favorite things. Yeah, the list goes on and on. It went public in January 2021 for $6 billion in value. And Ann Wojcicki, the sister of Sujan, the lunatic who used to run YouTube, reduced staff by a quarter last year after 3 rounds of layoffs. They are in trouble. Their stock is worth virtually nothing, ladies and gentlemen. 75 cents a share. Oof. Well, this is going to be frightening, and this is one of the few times I'm going to read most of the story to you rather than comment on it. But let me get back to chat before I do that and see what I've missed here in the last several minutes. So, what do we got here in the chat? We got, Bruce H. See, YouTube is not giving me notifications. What's not going on? I'm not getting notifications here on my screen. But Bruce became a member. Thank you, Bruce. Bruce H. If that appears on the screen during the broadcast, I give recognition for that. Andrea Fick with the 140 rand super chat. We did recognize that. Tax robber Lamola, says RJ. And the NC have a short memory. The Boer killing started from 2000, slow genocide. Muriel, that's, yeah, I see where you're coming from. NC has a short, okay. If I were to visit South Africa, where would I go? I like wildlife and farming. Wildlife, there are lots of places to go. Farming, lots of places to go. Can it be armed? No, you can't be armed. You can't be armed. Nope. Cannot be armed. Go to the game reserves around Kruger and then visit the Cape. No, you cannot carry a firearm as a foreigner. Oh, John answered your question already. Kruger, whatever. I mean, there are other places to go. Madikwe is quite nice in the Northwest Province. It's a lot less expensive. It's not as heavily traveled, and the lodge is just as good as Kruger. It also is a malaria-free zone. Kruger is a malaria zone, so take your pick. Anyway, just going to say it sounds awesome. Okay. What else we got here? And then Bruce, 4-week ceasefire will alleviate the required report. What else you got here? TikTok is the sewer of the internet. Yep. TikTok is freedom of speech. That's why the deep states want to shut it down, says Jonathan. Okay, that's where I was at before. What do you do with gender dysphoria? All right, give back my R1 as his rifle, okay? Okay. Chris, you spoke to Elvis, so I'll always respect you. Thank you, Jonathan. I take it you didn't agree with what I said about the anti-Semitism. But thank you. Yep. It's displaying severed head. On YouTube, severed head. It was on there for some time. 5,000 views before it was taken down. Yep. Yep. That's for sure. That's a fact. What the heck is going on in America? Well, it's not just here, Ken. It's everywhere. You know, people keep talking about America and mass shootings, and I've stopped reporting them. I only do them occasionally, but I've had mass shootings almost every day in South Africa. It's shebeens at restaurants, assassination attempts, all the time. It's crazy. You have a lot of immigrants sleeping on the streets of New York. We have a lot of immigrants sleeping all over the place. Mark says, made a post, removed twice now, removed. I don't know what you type, but YouTube automatically takes stuff out. Excuse me, folks. I had to get rid of something there. Identity-focused struggles dominate the teaching of main events in U.S. history. American history is becoming a gloomy narrative about race, gender, and class struggles in introductory college course, according to a commission report from Arizona State University. The year-long study of universities' introductory U.S. history syllabi found that identity-focused terms such as white supremacy dominated their content, according to a report by the National Commission on the Teaching of American History in our classrooms. By contrast, the commission said the materials overlooked events such as America's founding, the Civil War, and World War II. Classes also ignored the role of religion in spurring movements for racial and gender equality. The report recommends more inclusion of topics such as the Constitution, federalism, economic expansion, democratization that allowed students to understand not only compromises, but the progress that has been made in achieving American ideals. Moreover, the report recommends educational transparency by requiring history departments to list on their websites syllabi and class enrollments. Mr. Critchlow, an American history professor, noted that Arizona State University researchers could locate syllabi for only 75 of the nation's top 150 programs online. That included 70 of them posted by students to the resource sharing website Course Hero, and only 5 published by history department websites. Of the top 150 programs that teach history, American history in America, only 5 published the syllabi for their courses online. That is horrific. The commission is chaired by former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker and includes ex-Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin and former House Speaker Newt Gingrich. White supremacy is not an identity-focused term, said James Grossman, director of the American Historical Society. It's a term that describes a set of legal and social structures that framed the American South for decades. It was inscribed in the law and social practice. Really? Huh. In September, an annual survey from the University of Pennsylvania's Annenberg Public Policy Center found just 40% of adults knew the First Amendment protects freedom of religion, and only 28% recognized it guarantees freedom of the press. Wow. Look, I can understand why they're confused. It's so complicated. It's very legalese. It's very long. In fact, let me bore you for a moment and read to you the First Amendment to the Constitution from the document drafted in 1787 and ratified in 1789 by 3/4 of the states in the Union, which were 13 states at the time. So the First Amendment, I can understand why Americans wouldn't get this. You ready for this? Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. Wait, that's not legalese. That isn't long and complicated. A 6-year-old can understand that. Yet 40% of Americans do not know that that amendment in the Bill of Rights protects our freedom of religion. And only 28% recognize it guarantees freedom of the press. Wow. That means 72% of Americans don't know the First Amendment guarantees freedom of the press. Among teens, only 13% of 8th graders score proficiency in American history on the most recent National Assessment for Educational Progress. By contrast, ladies and gentlemen, I won the Daughters of the American Revolution History Award in school as the best student in American history in my county. Several right-leaning groups have promoted alternative history materials emphasizing primary sources to address such knowledge gaps, including Prager, Hillsdale, and Tuttle Twins franchise. Wow, this is insane. Wow, absolutely insane. According to ASU study, 60% of introductory U.S. history syllabi back to 2010 used at least one identity-focused term, including toxic masculinity and oppression. More than 40% did not mention any variation of the words freedom, prosperity, or religion. The report found one professor at a large state university in the South assigned his students to read socialist historian Howard Zinn for an American history class, to an 1877 class. Wow. Unbelievable. Zinn is a wackadoodle who said the most vile things about America. Yeah, and we wonder why we got problems. That is just frightening, folks. That is just absolutely bat crap frightening what's going on in this country. This is why people hate America. This is because they don't know what America is. They don't know America's ideals. They just believe the garbage that they see on TikTok and that the mainstream legacy media feed them. This is the greatest nation in the history of humankind. It's not perfect. We make mistakes. From the very beginning, we are human. However, our efforts to protect, to enhance, to further the progress of humanity surpass any society in history. Any society. Yep. Keith Alderson's here. I didn't see Keith earlier. That was 13 states. Now 51. Nope, 50 states. Now, what are you, Barack Obama? These 57 states? 50 states in the Union. 4 territories. Chris was a nerd in school. Nope, not at all, Matthew Dixon. I was an athlete in school. I played baseball and tennis in school. Yep, and played pickup basketball every day at lunch. Was one of the better players playing pickup basketball. The only reason I played basketball for the team is because I couldn't get away. Those games were always at a time in the evening that I couldn't be there and I had no ride home. Whereas with baseball, they're usually afternoon games. It was still daylight and I could get home. Oh, Dylan says, yeah, I wanted to be educated. He was not you. Well, actually, folks, I have to tell you, I'll be honest with you, is that in high school, my grades weren't particularly good. I was terrible at mathematics because constantly moving around the country as a kid. Didn't learn mathematics properly when I should have. And so I struggled with mathematics. But the thing is that in high school, I was a B student at best. So 3 out of 4 instead of, higher. And that was probably best I could do. Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. So I didn't do particularly well, but I did well in history and in world religions class. And see, that's the thing too. When I went to public school in Ohio, in high school, we had a former Catholic teacher, David Kunkler, who was teaching Latin. He was a Latin teacher because he knew Latin as a Catholic priest. And I had him for Latin. Then he created a world religions class. And the school allowed him to do it, the school board. So we had a world religions class. So I was introduced to all kinds of faith, to the Latter-day Saints, to Buddhists, to Hindus, to the Hare Krishna, to the Orthodox Church, the Russian Orthodox Church, to Catholicism, to all these things as a young Protestant. Now, I got extra credit in high school by coordinating. And imagine, there's no cell phone. So I was doing this landlines, picking up the telephone and calling to get people to come in to speak at the school to talk about their faith. We did this in a public school in 1981 or 1980. 80, 81. Might have been 90. It was like 81, I think it was. That's when we did that. 40 years ago, we were teaching religions. Not teaching people a faith of religion, but introducing to religions so they'd be familiar with other religions. That was diversity. That was pretty cool. And Mr. Kunkler gave me extra credit for coordinating all that stuff for the class. Yeah. Joking Atheist says, nerd at school is adult speak for a future boss. Yep. All right. That was pretty cool. We had that in high school. I had civics in junior high school. I had Ohio history in junior high school, but I took it as a high school student because I was in Pennsylvania for junior high school, and then had to take the Pennsylvania history in Pennsylvania, and they made me take Ohio as a high school student in Ohio. So Ohio history, civics, American history, American government, all in high school. I took Latin as a foreign language. I didn't do particularly well. And I had that world religions class, world religions and cultures. Pretty cool. Yep. Yeah, it is a great subject for understanding, Mark, and that's probably one of the reasons why I'm so tolerant and understanding of other people and have such an inquisitive mind. Yep. Radine took religious studies in high school. You went to school in Italy, though, didn't you, Radine? You didn't go in South Africa, did you? Yeah, so that was my high school experience in southeastern Ohio in rural Appalachia. Still remember riding a bus every day. Gosh. When you think back that long ago, it's almost like it never happened. You know what I mean? Know what I mean, folks? I mean, I remember in the moment, I think back to when I was in Germany as a young soldier in 1984, and in that photograph of me walking with my friend Mike Walton outside the barracks, and captured in my tennis shorts from high school in that pink Le Tigre shirt that I bought before I went to college a couple years prior to that, which... Wow, it seems like it never happened, but it's there. It's compressed somewhere in the hard drive, in the cranium up here. It's just amazing. I mean, wow. Life is fascinating from that standpoint. You did grow up in South Africa, Dean. I wasn't sure about that. Okay, thank you for that. Muriel was a terrible student. Okay. Christine said religion was at school. I'm sorry if you have already covered what is happening with this whole Texas razor wire story. Chad, I've covered that before, but let me just go over it real quick here since we got a moment. So the deal is this. The federal government is violating federal immigration law. They're rogue. They're violating their law. They're violating their oath. They're undermining the national security of America, and they're creating social chaos and crime and undue financial burdens all over the country by cutting razor wire that the state of Texas put along the border on state land to prevent criminal alien invaders from entering the United States. So the federal government is going down there and cutting the wire and helping these people enter the United States illegally, and then putting them on buses and putting them on planes and flying around the country without proper identification, which is illegal for me to get on a plane without proper identification, and for any other American or foreign national legally visiting this country, it's illegal. But for these criminals, they're allowed to do it, and the federal government is facilitating it to help the Biden regime increase the number of people in a district to get more seats and to take over congressional districts from Republican seats. That's what's going on. So the state of Texas, which is being burdened unduly by this invasion, put razor wire up, concertina wire, to prevent these criminals from entering the United States successfully. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision without any opinions issued, ordered that the Customs and Border Patrol criminals working for the federal government could cut the wire. And this is leading to a confrontation. The Texas National Guard answers to the governor of Texas unless federalized by the President of the United States. And he's yet to do that. And he doesn't have a legitimate reason for doing it. They're not fighting a natural disaster. They are not fighting a foreign conflict. So federalizing the Texas National Guard to perform law enforcement duties is against the law. It violates posse comitatus. It is not legitimate or legal in the United States. And that's the conundrum that the Biden regime faces. But they continually break the law, so they're very likely to simply try to federalize the National Guard troops. If that happens, we could lead to a very serious confrontation between state and federal authorities here over the bogus federalization for law enforcement purposes of the Texas National Guard. Now, you might be saying, but Chris, the Texas governor has called out the National Guard. How can he use them for law enforcement? Because the Texas governor and the governors of all 50 states and 4 territories have the legal authority to use the National Guard for virtually any purpose they need, including law enforcement. So in Texas, the governor can call up the National Guard to do law enforcement. In Chicago in 1968, when the Democratic National Convention took place in Chicago and riots were on the street and people were being attacked and there was looting and burning, the Illinois governor called out the National Guard to put down that nonsense in a law enforcement role. When I was in the Ohio National Guard, we trained on how to do crowd control and how to handle demonstrations and riots. That was part of our training. Active military forces do not do that. They have no authority to do that. That is for law enforcement. However, the National Guard plays a law enforcement role within the states and territories. Does that answer your question? RR says, muy Afrikaans. Ek like. No win situation for Biden. If he takes over the border, he loses. If he does not, he does. Exactly, Hardik. Isn't it brilliant? Isn't it brilliant? It's just absolutely brilliant. He so screwed this thing up. All he had to do was continue Trump policies. He could have won on other grounds. He stopped the Keystone XL pipeline. Leftists applaud it. He gave money to Ukraine. Leftists and right-wingers applaud it. He abandoned Afghanistan. Leftists applaud it. Win, win, win. The Dobbs decision went in his favor, even though it had nothing to do with, overturning Roe versus Wade. Leftists win. That's all he had to do. But now, he simply opens up the tap and pours millions of criminal alien invaders in this country, undermining the sanctity of security. Look, I was out walking around yesterday talking to people, and 3 different people whom I don't even know overheard my conversation and came in and were angry about criminal alien invaders in their midst here in central Pennsylvania. Yeah. Wow. A meth addict who stole a tank and went on a rampage. No, never heard about that. You have to be careful, posse comitatus. That's correct. Dad took churches all over Petersburg in the 80s. About 9 years old, says Hester. Okay. So National Guard fought under the feds. Amir, I just explained that. I think maybe your text came up a little bit later. The National Guard must adhere to the uniform, rank, structure, the code of discipline, the legal code, and the tactics. They're military, but a reserve component. So they must, all that's the same. So when a National Guardman shows up, in theory, I should be able to tell the difference between the National Guardsman and an Army soldier because they have the same rank structure, they wear the same uniforms, they have the same discipline, they adhere to the same code, they have the same training. However, when not on active federal duty, which is most of the time, they work for the government. They can be called up at any time for disaster response, flood relief. Sorry, I've got the sore or something on my tongue. I bit it or whatever. And so they can be called up. They work for the governor. The president can federalize them for conflict, can federalize them for a disaster across state lines. So like there's fires out in California and Nevada. He can order guardsmen up to go fight that. Or no, he can't. I'm sorry, he can't do that. But he can order them out for other things. Yeah. So, well, also on the subject, how does the National Guard work? I assume they have day jobs. Exactly. So the National Guard and the reserve component, we have different things. So the reserves are federal troops who are not active duty. They're part-time. The National Guard are state troops that are part-time that can be active. Now, there are some National Guard that are full-time. One of my neighbors just around the block here, he and his wife were full-time National Guardsmen. It's called AGR, Active Guard Reserve. And those people are just like military, but they can't take their retirement. If they got 20 years of full service, they can take it. So not sure you have the super chat. Let's try again. Okay, the super chat's coming through. I can see it, Andre, but it's not coming up on the screen. For some reason, I'm not getting data showing up on the screen, and you guys aren't seeing that either. And I have this alert box on. Let me turn it off and turn it back on. Now it's back on. Maybe it'll change. I don't know what's going on there. Alert box says all alerts. Yeah, so donations. Yeah, unless they change something here. It's there. Merch is there. Yep. Super chat. Yep, it's there. So it's there. Yep, it should come up every time. Huh. Zero delay. It's supposed to come right away. Yep. So it should be there. Well, thank you for the super chat that's coming up. Andreo Fick. Yeah, it shows up on my screen over here in the totals, but YouTube has got all kinds of problems right now. When I go to my my revenue page, it doesn't give me the revenue totals. It doesn't change the tab. It doesn't do anything. And that's been going on for 3 or 4 days. I think they've got some problems. Okay, so the National Guard and the Reserve. I was in the Ohio Guard for 2 years. I was active duty 365 days a year in uniform. You're a soldier all the time. You get leave, but you're still a soldier. You have to keep short hair, all that stuff. Grooming standards. I got out of the Army in April 1987, was immediately in the Ohio National Guard. I went to drill. Drill is when you show up for training. Many Reserve and National Guard units meet all day Saturday, all day Sunday, once a month to stay current and do their training. You can't stay current, but that's kind of the way the system is set up. You do the best you can. Some units, which are combat arms units or other units involved in deployments frequently, often have what's called a MUTA 5. MUTA is a Mutual Unit Training Assembly, or Modified Unit Training Assembly. So it's when you meet. That's a MUTA 4. You get paid for 4 full days. So if you were active duty, what's your salary be for 4 days? You get that for Saturday and Sunday. So 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon, 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon, that's 4. You get paid for 4 days. And then if you're there on Friday, you get paid for 4 hours on Friday. So you get 5 days. So some people show up and they work a weekend and get paid for 5 full days in the month, which is pretty cool, except it always comes at the wrong time. Additionally, you have an annual training cycle, which is normally 14 days. Sometimes it's 21 days, depending on the type of unit and the state or the reserve unit. So it's often said that it's in the summertime, but that isn't actually true. You can have a annual training at any time of the year, but most are in the summertime, to be correct. So you wind up having most of these in the summertime. So for instance, I, in 1987, spent all of August in Michigan at Grayling Grayling National Guard Base in Upper Michigan, not the Upper Peninsula, but the center of the peninsula there. So I was in Michigan for 3 weeks. I was a radio operator, and good news for me is that they had changed the way they were doing operations that year, so I had virtually no job. I didn't have to monitor the radio, so I had pretty much a 3-week vacation and got paid for it. Showed up and did some chores and had most of the day off after. That was pretty cool. I was a young sergeant. I didn't mind. Then the next year, 86, I went to Camp Atterbury for the first portion of my annual training. We did some training there, and then we went to Camp Perry on Lake Erie, where we did live fire with our M42 Duster twin 40mm anti-aircraft guns. We fired at RCATs, radio-controlled aircraft that flew out over the lake, and we fired live rounds at them within view of the Davis-Besse nuclear power plant. We couldn't hit it, though. It's too far away. So we did that for 2 weeks, and I got paid for 2 weeks of active duty. It used to be that if you were in Guard and Reserve, you could only use the exchange, that's the shopping center, and the commissary when you were on duty. So most guardsmen and reservists could never go to the commissary or PX. They didn't have privileges. You only got a couple months. They used to have coupons and all this stuff and a sheet. So complicated. Now reservists can go use the commissary and PX anytime they want, which is much better. So much better than when I was there. Looks like YouTube alerts are broke. That's right, Chad. Yes, Erica, there was no notice, but I did recognize your super chat, did I not? And I'll go back and make sure I get all of them before we're done. Camp Atterbury in Indiana. That is correct, Matt Canale. Camp Atterbury in Indiana. Yep, that was a long drive in a Jeep from Ohio all the way there. That was crazy. From Logan, Ohio, all the way to Camp Atterbury, and then from there up to Camp Perry on Lake Erie. Yep, so that's a little bit about how the Guard and Reserve work. In time of conflict, the National Guard units can be activated and sent to combat. We saw that in Vietnam. We saw that in World War II, where National Guard divisions were called up, activated, trained, and then went off to combat. And they stayed there for the duration, or for however long they were sent. In Vietnam, it was typically 1 year. They did a tour in Vietnam. National Guard units fighting in combat. We've had Guard units and Reserve units called up for Iraq and Afghanistan, same sort of thing. Bosnia, yeah. So that's how they work. They're supposed to be an inexpensive way to maintain a military force, but in effect, you have varying levels of proficiency and competence because people aren't training all the time. So, but we couldn't run our military without them. They're a key component of what we do. Yep. So that answered that question. So are you still there? Who asked that question? Wasn't it John Jarvis? I think John Jarvis asked me that question. Skeptic says, what do you think U.S. allies can do to protect themselves from USA? Huh? What can U.S. allies do to protect themselves from USA? Well, if they're U.S. allies, why would they need to protect themselves from USA? I don't understand the question. Andrea Fix, latest super chat. I was not sure you're hot. The super chat. Let's try again. Here you go. So let me go back and recognize all the super chats in this stream. So that I can see. Earnings. Go to Super Chats, and under Super Chats, I can see that on this stream, we had 140 Rand from Renzo starting it off. We had 140 Rand from Andreo following up. 140 Rand from Erica. Let's see if we get a notification. And Andreo has another 140 Rand. So, wow, we're in this 140 Rand loop here. It's like Groundhog Day. Let's see another 140 Rand Super Chat. Come on, I dare you. I dare you. Do 140 Rand Super Chat. Come on. Now I feel like Ronaldo with e-begging. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 560 Rand there from those four. Thank you for that. Yep. So overview. What else? There's super chats, short feeds, memberships, watch page ads, shopping, and giving. I've got all those things started there. Brand Connect. Earn revenue from brand deals by working with established brands. Yeah, I'll probably try that at some point. Yep. Anyway, so there you go. All right. So what is this? Leave the YouTube partner program. Why would I do that voluntarily? I make a little bit of money. Ooh, I've lost 2 subscribers since this show started. Good thing I took a screen capture. Wow, 2 people have disappeared. And that short is up to 2,500 now. Let me take a look at that really quickly. Shorts, 2,500. I'm up to 80% likes because I got 20 dislikes in that video. Wow. There's some real anti-Semites in South Africa. That's something else. 2,245, so not 2,300, so it's slowed down a lot. Yeah, just 77 watching the last hour. It really tapered off at that first. Shorts go off in 30 minutes or less. That's it. And then it'll let you change the screen after it starts, so that's kind of sucky. Yep, 9 comments. I'm not going to look at the comments right now, but yeah, so that was helpful. That short, driving 7,000. So I got 2,329 views in 1 hour because of that short, so thank you for that. But if I go to my... That's not what I want. That's subscribers, the revenue. There's nothing here. The data is not there. What the heck? The tab does not work. Huh. Anyway, whatever. YouTube is goofy. Goofy. That says I have 2,500 now. I don't think that's correct. So anyway, their numbers are all messed up. In fact, I don't remember when you last got subscriber alerts. Yesterday, we did. Chad, yeah, yesterday. They were there. We had them yesterday. They were fine. It's today. But the finance thing is the revenue for the channel hasn't worked almost in a week. So National Guard is weekend soldiers. You could call them that. That's why they call them weekend warriors. It's kind of a derisive term. In 1980s, the military had authority over police during state of emergency riots. Yes, that's true. In Soweto, 1985. True story. And also in 1976. But you had a very different government and a very different system of governance than we have. Yep. Movies allegedly believe the National Guard is very powerful. No, the National Guard is not very powerful. No, it's not. Right. Chris, we enjoy your show, All Conservatives Together. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that, Petra. Did you see the new Ben Shapiro rep? No, I haven't. Everybody keeps asking about that. Okay, I got it. So that's with Tom McDonald, right? YouTube. Ben Shapiro, Tom McDonald. Let's see if that's it. Come on. Oh, there it is right there. Facts. Is that it? Facts? I got an ad here, so I got to play through the ad. Facts. 9.7 million views. That one's not being suppressed by YouTube much. But I got to sit through this video. 15 seconds. I can't escape. Oh, John Cena. Commie lover. No, thank you. Don't watch that guy. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest. I have to stop it right there. Otherwise, I get a copyright claim. I have to check it out after this, folks. I'll do that. But thank you for people keep mentioning that. Yeah, that's it. It's funny as hell. Yeah, I'll watch it. Do you still work for the Army? No, Muriel, I do not work for the Army. I work for myself. I'm self-employed. I do broadcasting. I do consulting. I do work with the Army, but not for the Army. I do it for a third-party vendor. So, yeah. So, for instance, I go to the War College a few times a year and do consulting work there for them. There are jobs at the Army War College. In fact, they're calling back colonels to active duty right now. I could do that if I wanted. But, yeah. So, yeah, but I'm not with the Army anymore. Nope. Yep, catching the stream a bit late. Oh, you are, Choco. We're an hour and 33 minutes into it. That is a bit late. That is a bit late, but that's fine. Yep, no facts. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, Charles had to refresh. Well, that happens, Charles. Things fall behind. It's kind of like when I do I have to refresh right now, too. I'm behind. YouTube has been giving me all kinds of trouble in my studio today, but now it's up to date. Well, still not live. What the heck is going on over here? There we go. Now I'm live. Very frustrating. YouTube isn't always perfect. I think they're experiencing a lot of technical problems this week would explain why a lot of the data is not available and what's going on. But anyway, it is what it is. That trite phrase, we'll say it again. It is what it is. But you make the most of it. You do the best you can. Do you ever miss the military experience? Chad, I mentioned that in a conversation with somebody yesterday. I was talking to them and people say, do you miss being in the Army? And I said, no. I said, the Army is a bureaucracy and I don't miss being in the Army. I do miss being a soldier. Absolutely. For my entire adult life, from the age of 18, after my first year in college, when I went in the Army when I was 18 years of age, just before my 19th birthday, all the way up until I was 55, every single day of that entire span, I could say I'm a soldier and I support and defend the Constitution. Every day, no matter where I was, whether I was in Bad Kreuznach, Germany, or I was in Athens, Ohio in the National Guard, or Camp Atterbury, Camp Grayling, Camp Perry, didn't matter where I was at. When I came back in active duty, Fort Huachuca, Gelnhausen, Hanau, the list goes on and on of all the places I've served around the world, in Europe, in the United States, in the Middle East, in Africa. Every day, I could always say, I'm a soldier. And I did take pride in that because it's something to be proud about when you're a professional soldier and you protect other people. You protect their liberties and their freedoms. You protect their very lives. And it's something to be proud of. And people think of the military and think, oh, it's all just about taking money. No, it's not all, or not about money, excuse me. It's all just about taking lives. It's not about taking lives. It's about preventing people from being bullies like Putin and like the military in Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and in Myanmar. That's what it's about. It's about deterrence, about stopping bad guys from doing things. And when it fails, it's about being prepared, professionally trained, morally responsible, and then doing as little damage as possible to end the conflict that you must become engaged in. That's what it's about. It's about improving people's lives, building HIV clinics and Ebola testing centers and research into Ebola and tuberculosis and malaria, and building schools and clinics and hunting terrorists and teaching militaries to obey the rule of law in the land of law warfare. It's about understanding international conventions like the Geneva Conventions and the Vienna Conventions on diplomacy. It is about making a difference in the world. That's what being in the military is about. That was my experience in the military from private to full colonel. Now, admittedly, my experience was kind of not unique, but kind of unique. Not entirely unique, but kind of unique from a standpoint that very few people... There it is. It's back. It's back. Look at that. Andre Fick, 350 Rand Super Chat said, okay, let's put a challenge out there. There you go. Oh, you've raised it from 140 to 350. Well, that alert came up. See, YouTube was experiencing problems. So there it goes. I didn't change anything. Suddenly that Super Chat came up. Maybe they only give it for Super Chats 300 Rand and above. Yeah, so that's what it's about for me. Erica mentioned something I reported on last week. Solar flares are flaming today. It could be affecting the YouTube broadcast, no doubt about that, and their processing capability, although most of what I'm doing is through cable and underground. It's not going through the airwaves, but nonetheless could be affected. But here, there's no sun, so that's not really an issue for us. It's not coming through. Do you think the military will be able to roll back the current woke policies, and is the military truly battle ready for possible war breaking out worldwide? No, I don't think they'll be able to roll back the woke policies. They will eventually disappear. When these lunatics are removed from office, they will go away, but they won't be rolled back. Roll back implies they just all removed immediately. No, things will disappear because they don't work. You cannot live with this fantasy that men are women in military. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can put tampons in the men's restroom and military base, but that's just ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And you cannot continue to pay for sexual reassignment surgery, then give people medical convalescent leave for months on end, pay for drugs and hormones so they can change who they are because it suits them, while ignoring the needs of other people in uniform. That will not last long. That will die of its own initiative at some point. That doesn't mean people shouldn't have compassion for people who are genuinely transgender and have issues. But if you have those issues, just a few short years ago, those were called psychological problems by the American Medical Association. And those people would not have been allowed to stay in uniform just a few years ago. Anyway, no, the woke policies will not last because the military will collapse, just like other segments of society are collapsing. But quite frankly, America may collapse before then, given the debt burden we now have. We saw yesterday, because someone pointed out, that the interest on the national debt has mushroomed. It's doubled in the last 3 years. since Joe Biden's been president. Not entirely Joe Biden's fault. I can't blame Joe Biden for the doubling of the debt payment because he didn't create that. That's before him. That's Bush, that's Clinton, that's Reagan, that's Carter, that's all of these clowns. It's Trump. It's all of them are responsible for that increase in debt. Well, we can't really blame Reagan. We can't really blame Carter. We really can't blame those guys because that debt's all retired. Debt is gone after 30 years. So going back 30 years, we can blame Clinton, we can blame Bush, we can blame Obama, Trump, and Biden for all of that together. That is what is burying this country, $800+ billion per year in interest payments. That's not even the principal. Think about that. You have principal. The principal is the big amount. The interest is the small amount. And we can't even pay back the small amount. Whole thing's going to come down like a house of cards and collapse. The value of the dollar will be crushed. There'll be global chaos as a consequence of it unless these clowns in Washington, D.C. begin to start rolling back benefits that are not earned by people who never paid into Social Security. And then means testing, which I oppose, but it's the only way to save this republic, means testing Social Security for people who have the means and don't need the income, rolling back benefits, which is patently unfair for people paid in the system like I have for 40 years. It's unfair, but something must be done, and that's what's coming down the road. I'm trans as depicted in my court case, so yes, it's a problem, but forcing the issue on children is just sick. Okay, Christine, that's why, okay, because you were talking about being a dude before, but it says Christine. I've never understood that. Yeah, no, it's, but it also doesn't work in a military setting. It just doesn't work. If you come into the military and you're transgender, that's one thing. But entering the military and being assigned to the military and serving the military and then suddenly, 15 years later, changing your gender, it doesn't work, folks. You put people on the back foot and it detracts from the mission. It does not work. So that's a problem. Doing my best to objectively view the Chrobasdal happenings today, I'm not convinced that this country can and wants to be saved except with divine intervention. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that, Christine. Appreciate that. Think how many people can get psychiatric help for the cost of one reassignment surgery. That's true. Runs about $150,000 per SRS, $150,000. And then those people unfairly get months of convalescent leave. It's not an illness. If we're no longer defining it as an illness, we're just defining it as a choice. That's what they're trying to say. That's why they're providing these services. It's unfair. I mean, you can say, well, but women who are pregnant get time off. Yeah, they get 6 weeks. They get 6 weeks. And they serve while they're pregnant. Yep. All the way up to the very end. Yeah, and that also a bone of contention with many in the military when I first entered. They thought it was unfair that women got pregnant because a lot of females were getting pregnant so they didn't have to work. That's a true story. True story. They got pregnant just so they didn't have to work, which is pretty stupid to have a child so you get out of work for a couple months. Never understood that logic, but yes. Yeah, Christine says, yes, transition at 40. I needed to be sure, but now I would like to revert back just for personal reasons. I'm not even going to ask you what happened there, Christine. That's your personal business. Yeah, look, it's real. I mean, gender dysphoria is a genuine condition, but the number of people affected by it is infinitesimally small, thankfully, because it's difficult for people in that situation. So thankfully, not many people actually doing it. Today, what we're seeing is lunacy. We're seeing people mislead children who are going through puberty into believing there's something they're not because they're uncomfortable in their skin. Who here was comfortable in their skin going through puberty? Be honest. I wasn't comfortable. But I never questioned my sexuality. There's nobody telling me I was a girl because this body part was hurting or this was happening or that was happening. It's a sick world. Let kids be kids. Those who have genuine gender dysphoria can seek counseling in their teen years, and then when they become adults can make informed decisions about their sexuality and their gender. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. Anything else is morally bankrupt. Yep. Oh, Garrett's being a smartass there. Stop it. What a weird thing, the duality of it shouldn't matter to what it matters most. I'm not sure where you go with that, RJ. It does matter, though, from a readiness perspective for the military. Women have specific health needs that men don't have. When you have an all-military force, you don't need OBGYNs. You don't have to hold a whole staffing to deal with a host of medical conditions that affect women. You don't have that. So you have to devote resources to that. Now, we have an all-volunteer force, and we value women in that force. They're a significant contributor to our readiness and our capability, and therefore we bear the burden, if you want to use that phrase. I'm not saying this phrase, but we deal with the cost of having that infrastructure to have female soldiers in our midst. It's worth it to our military, and I would agree it is worth it. Women add a lot to those in uniform. Not those who are feminist, but those who are women. Anyway, jumped on her and did a bit of... What that? I have no idea what that's all about. Faith happened. I cannot fight against gender dysphoria. There are elements. Yes, Christine, I agree. There are. And that's why it was classified by medical associations for years as a mental illness. I'm not saying it is a mental illness. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that's why they classified it as such. But of course, they also classified homosexuality as a mental illness a long time too. So, hey, what do medical authorities know? What do medical authorities know? Yep. Looks like people are having nice support here for Christine. There you go, Christine. Exactly. Women do not have the endurance that men do. It's scientific in fact. Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly right. I have no idea what Garrett's... I think Garrett's having a little too much wine right now. I did go to a dentist, and I got my crown put on yesterday. Seems to be fine. No ill effects. Although it was glazed, so it's kind of weird. It's very smooth and soft because that crown was glazed. So I run my tongue over. It's like, feels like I'm running it over a piece of polished silver, but it's not. It's ceramic. So Tomboy was told the other brother, called the other brother. I have photos that was taken in the 70s of my brother's school clothes. Well, I mean, look. My mom and I look very much the same at our young age, but she's definitely a girl and I'm definitely a boy, but we had very similar facial features when we were younger. Absolutely. And Christine says, thanks to folks. Well, see that, folks? This is a welcoming community of the people who are actually real members of this community, real members of the Wyatt Army, appreciate and respect others for our differences. And we have no beef with that. If you're Jewish, you're Jewish. You're Muslim, you're Muslim. You're Christian, Christian. As long as you're not advocating to harm other people or pushing your beliefs or who you are on other people, we're cool with that. So there. You can be a purple dolphin, but stay away from my kids, says Arctic. Yeah, well, that's. I was talking to someone the other day about that, who happens to be gay. And I said, look, I warned the gay community a long time ago that you were going to become tossed out like yesterday's news. You'll be used to wrap up the newspaper, because nobody needs you anymore. And like, what are you talking about? This is about 10 years ago. I said, well, you wait. These activists keep pushing the envelope. Now that you're getting same-sex unions approved in most places, and there's a huge push to recognize gay rights. I don't know what gay rights are. They're no different than anyone else. Everyone else has the same rights. So there's no such thing as gay rights. It's a silly definition, but I appreciate where it's coming from. I said, now that you're achieving these things, they'll move on from you. The political left will move on from you, and they're going to go to the next group. And the next group is transsexuals. You watch. Transgender, transsexual. I said that 10 years ago, back in 2014, when I was in Africa. And people are like, yeah, whatever. Well, who talks about gay rights anymore? Yeah, they say LGBTQI, but it's always about trans. Everything's trans. That's all they talk about anymore. No one talks about homosexuality or bisexuality or those things. It's all focused on that. And that's what happens. It's because the left uses people to achieve its means. That's what it's all about. They don't care about gays. They don't care about straights. They don't care about Muslims. They don't care about Jews. Look at the Jews in New York who were abandoned by their leftist friends when Israel was attacked by Hamas on October 7th. And some of their friends gleefully cheering that Jews were murdered and beheaded and dismembered and sexually gang raped and assaulted. And their friends in New York who were liberals were cheering that. And they're like, what is wrong with people? I thought these were my friends. Well, they were never your friends. They're leftists. They don't have friends. They eat their young. They don't have friends. All they do is form coalitions with disgruntled people and claim they're all the same. Look at the gays for Gaza. Are you serious? Gays for Gaza? Gays? Really? I'll tell you what. If you're gay, openly gay, we'll pay for your flight to Gaza. See how long you last with Hamas in Islamic Jihad. Not very much. Not much time on the life. Mark Myberg says, gay rights are like black rights. Who made you special? Exactly. Well, I said this earlier when I was at Starbucks. I picked up this Frappuccino at Starbucks, and I was talking to the lady, and I said, that's like, I don't understand people, their stupidity. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, the Equal Rights Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment didn't get ratified within 10 years and then extended it for another 10 years and 10 years, it's dead letter. There will be no equal rights amendment to the Constitution. There's no need because there's no discriminatory rights in the Constitution. These rights are for all Americans. It doesn't say, hang on. It doesn't say, so if you would need an equal rights amendment if the First Amendment said the following. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances so long as they're only white Anglo-Saxon Protestant males. Doesn't say that last part. That's for all Americans. Why do you need equal rights? Because they want special rights, because some people believe that women are better than men. They deserve more than men because of the way they've been historically discriminated against with misogyny. No, they may have been historically discriminated against because of misogyny, but that doesn't give them rights better than anyone else. We're all God's creatures. We're all Homo sapiens. We're all entitled to the same natural rights of freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of worship, the right to keep and bear arms. Doesn't discriminate based on age. The law discriminates on age, but the right doesn't discriminate based on gender, sex, religion, origin. Scary enough, Ilhan Omar can own firearms. That's a scary thought. She's a Muslim. She's an America hater. She's a member of the House of Representatives. As far as I know, she's not a convicted criminal, so she can keep and bear arms. Because the right doesn't extend exclusively to white, heterosexual, landowning males. It extends to all Americans. The exception were people who were in bondage. They didn't have those rights. But that has been overturned by the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So slavery ended that. And that means all Americans and permanent green card holders in this country are entitled to due process under that document. Yep. Are you a fan of Candace Owens? Yeah. Candace Owens, just like Charlie Kirk, are in it for themselves. They claim they're there. They're just there to be famous and get rich. Yes, that's it. And I know that's what it's about, because when people like myself tried to help their cause or be part of their cause, they blew us off. That's only for their friends. Only for friends. And that's another thing I've discovered here is that when it comes to the conservatives, there is a cabal of conservatives who take care of other conservatives. I saw it today. I saw some guy being promoted on Sirius XM radio on the morning program. And I never heard of this guy before, but they're promoting him now. So now he's going to get thousands of viewers on his radio program. He wasn't particularly impressive. He didn't say anything I didn't say, but he's friends with somebody, so he's going to be promoted. So they don't look for the talent necessarily. And Candace Owens, I like her beliefs, but I don't necessarily like her. I did like her briefly until I saw her for just what she is, a showman. Ben Shapiro has been accused of being the same way, but Ben Shapiro is more genuine to me. And Charlie Kirk, not genuine at all. That guy is just somebody that gets on Fox News and gets attention and gets rich. And these people, they live high off the hog because of that. They forget who they really are. They're not down to the earth natural people. And that's who I am. And I'll tell you this. If somebody goes, hey, Chris Wyatt, we want you on Sirius XM. You got your own program. Here's your $500,000 a year contract. You're going to be known. We're going to promote you. We're going to advertise you. I'll still be the same person. I guarantee it. If that should ever happen to me, if that fate ever befalls me, or if I ever wind up elected office, call me on the carpet if you don't think I'm genuine, because I will remain genuine. I remain genuine from a private all the way to full colonel. I remain genuine all the way from living on public assistance with food stamps and using an outhouse and having no electricity and fetching water from a cistern. I remain same down-to-earth person then than I am today, even though I've worked with presidents, from presidents to plumbers, people all over the planet. That is who I am. That will not change. My belief in treating people fairly and equally and in the Constitution shall not waver, ever, ever. I don't play to political pandering. That doesn't mean, again, if I ever got elected office, as I said, or if I ran a corporation, that I would not make compromises in the best interest of my constituents or my employees. Sometimes you have to, but it doesn't change my positions. Simple as that. Candace Owens, I'm not a big fan. I liked her at one point, but Exactly. Gay rights should not exist. It's defeatist. Yep. I'm saying in general, the same people that argue that gender shouldn't matter are the same people that insist on gender being number one important thing when it suits the narrative. Well, I don't think it should matter, but I don't think it should be number one narrative. So I think you're talking about other people. Chris, we're also shocked at what is happening around us. At least we can openly discuss what's happening for the moment until YouTube starts its censorship again. Yep. They'll pick a topic. They'll pick a topic and they'll go after people. Mona Lisa needs more covering. Funny, Patrick. That's not a funny joke. Only the weak want to be equal. Exactly. Should be kicked out. Oh, you talking about Ilhan Omar. In what way is right? Well, it's no different. It's no different. We have natural rights. I met, what is Val saying? Val is saying that I met half him or her when explaining the whole transitions. I thought to myself, why would you mess with your gender parts? Gay person painted the Mona Lisa who was a man. I didn't know that. He was gay. Okay. Could have skipped military service. I was not prepared to skip out for gender, even though I had serious psych issues. I'm sorry to hear that, Christina. I hope you haven't suffered a lot in life because of that issue. Never understood these people. They flee their countries for better lives, but when they get to their destination, they try to return the very same policies that made them leave. Exactly. Garrett says, the best compliment you can bestow on me, too much wine. You have unveiled me. And you are the silo answer term. What the heck? I don't know. Garrett, ease up on the Pinot Grigio, man. Tribal instinct. You're right, Mark. That's what it's, a tribal instinct. All this stuff is tribal instinct. Yep. Be yourself regardless. I just sound posh, says Charles. I don't think you sound posh. Muriel says, wow, really? Really what, Muriel? What are you referring to? Owens has become a huge anti-jabber. Well, that's her prerogative. I don't have an issue with her on that. That's her choice. What I have an issue with her is that you can't talk to these people unless you can do something for them. Tell me this, folks. Have I ever not made a good, genuine effort to address people in chat? Have I ever not made a good effort to meet people individually when we have meet and greets? Do I not go around the table during meet and greets and try to address every single person and get to know them and listen to what they guys say? So you tell me if you've been to meet and greet and tell me I haven't done that. Tell me I haven't tried to include everybody, regardless of what their story is. Tell me I haven't. And it's the same thing when I meet people. I listen to people. People are like, well, you talk a lot, so you don't listen to people. That's nonsense. I listen to people. And it's genuine. But people like that, like Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens, have no interest in what you have to say unless you're furthering their wealth, their fame, their notoriety. That's a fact. I know. It's just like, what's that guy? Sebastian Gorka. Oh, that guy's an ass. I met him at CPAC. He was very rude and disrespectful to me. Just in an offhanded way. He didn't even realize he's being rude. Charles says, you do indeed. Yep. No, you were terrible during the meet and greet. We all got drunk and you didn't. Well, I have a rule and I was driving. Yep. Christine says, I have PTSD, chronic anxiety, bipolar due to extensive combat situations, no assistance from military. Well, it's unfortunate, Christine, because you're living in a racist society in which those who serve the nation are denied care that they're owed because South Africa has betrayed its veterans, promoted fake veterans, 100,000 MK veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, there were not 100,000 members of Nkonto Sizwe who were running around, blowing up communications towers, attacking taverns and shopping malls and fighting in the bush in Angola. We're talking 2,500 max. Virtually none of whom ever saw any combat, yet they get these military veterans benefits and actual veterans do not. There are actually some veterans from MK, but the vast majority, the 100,000 frauds that are out there, are not veterans. Yep. Yeah, it's a tragedy of epic proportions, and it's a betrayal by the National Party. The National Party should have ensured that those people were taken care of. They sent you to service on the border. They sent you there. Not me, not you. Let's see if I can do this without getting a copyright strike. Let's see if I can do this without getting copyright, because I always get one. Not a copyright strike, but a copyright claim. So let's get through this ad. Let's get through this. It's time. It's been a while since we've done this. The politicians, are the ones that sent us to Iraq and Afghanistan and Bosnia and Iraq and Kuwait. They are the ones, not us. We didn't make the decisions. The politicians did it without regard for our safety and our welfare and our loved ones. Did serve their nation. Miss Pumba, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. This is for all veterans who served their nation honorably in times of conflict. South Africa, America, Germany, wherever you serve your nation. To the frauds out there, to the users, to the Gen Zs who don't know any better, to those being taught the lies about the history of great nations like America, and the lies about apartheid. Not that it wasn't evil. The implementation of apartheid was evil. But that doesn't make white South Africans, colored South Africans, Indian South Africans, or black South Africans evil. It was a political system put in place not by soldiers. The same here. We didn't sign up to go to Vietnam. We didn't sign up to go to Korea. Our politicians sent us there for what was supposed to defend freedom. Sorry, Patron. I didn't mean to get the tears rolling. Communism is a curse, and wokeness is a curse. Miss Pumba, thank you for 199 Rand. I missed that. Patrick, 14 Rand. Thank you for that. And yeah, thank you so much for that. The Silence. I don't know what that is. My brothers fought in Angola War. Domini, and that was it. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, I think that's the right term for pastor. Yeah. Song's very poignant to any soldier that served on the front lines. Yep. It sure is, Hendo. It sure is. Christine says, one of my high-ranking National Party minister's son was my pastor. Wow. Andrea says, I can actually smell Namibia. Yeah. Remember, Ben, you learn very quickly to run like the wind, and only those who are there will know what it feels like, says African idiot. Yep. Yep. Okotopi. I don't know that one. Okotopi. Okotopi. Okay. Huh. There's a bunch of different things called Okotopi. There's a song called Oshakati, 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 Vamboland. Anyway. Yeah, wow. Did I get cut off because of that? No, I'm still here. I thought I got cut off because it used to be you could share the revenue with that song. So, my heart, Brand, Sus, and Pot, Edmund Basson. Ashley Engelbrecht, welcome. Thank you for your comment. All right, what else we got here? They wouldn't let Charles be in charge of anything. So it wasn't Charles in charge. Erica says the song brings tears. Lost my buddy Corporal C.G. Vetton and my lieutenant in contact. Was a frickin' mess. Sorry to hear that, Christine. Garrett says, I poked an anthill, and thank me for doing it. Yeah, no doubt. You're welcome. All right, what else have I missed here? Menage a Trois says, what does woke mean? Are you being serious, Menage a Trois? That's legit. You're never a troll, so I think that's a serious question. Little Miss Know-It-All says, thank you. You're welcome. What else we got here for, yes, we're brothers in arms. Yep, indeed. Brothers in arms. Andreo says, now I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes. Only the ones that have been there will know. Yeah. Well, Ashley says, thank you. We met in Milnerton, meet and greet. Always tuned in. Well, thank you for Ashley, but I don't see you in the chat. Yeah, I love the surname. That's a very German surname, Engelbrecht. Yep. So many ultimate sacrifices made for an inept government to cheapen the value of lives, stealing food from starving children's mouths. Yeah. You're right, RJ. You're right about that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Inept government under the National Party and even more inept government under the ANC. South Africa led by idiots for well over a century who've undermined the future and safety of all South Africans is horrible. Oh, Arctic is going to have rum for lunch. What kind of lunch is that? No, I know you're not a troll, Menage a Trois. That's why I said I'm confused by the question. So what is woke to me? Woke to me is an agenda to demonize and destroy groups of people with idiotic things that make no sense and have no scientific basis or no sociological basis. So, for instance, this multi-gender thing, people making up genders, them, zer, z's, and they're making laws to attack people. That's woke. That's not real. That's fictional. Woke is this creating fictional oppression to undermine societal cohesion. Woke is dope. Dumb and entitled. Yeah. It's also a sense of entitlement that's not legitimate. Blixkottel, 35 years ago. Brian, what did Brian say? A mate of mine went for a swim. Ooh, in Kunene, crocodile ate him. Les Vases. Oh, that's horrible, man. Yeah, I don't mess around in the water. That sucks. Oof. Ooh. Does that answer it? I don't know if that's a complete answer, but I think I answered it there. So, yeah. Anyway. Wow. Globalist melding of Marxist, socialism, and elitist totalitarianism will bring the resistance of ordinary people. Yeah. Yep, this stupidity will bring ordinary people to the fore. Yeah, people are standing up. It's long overdue. And you know what's happened here is in this country we've gone from having two political parties which just had some ideological differences in the size of government and what government should do to this absolutely backcrap crazy woke left that oppresses the majority. I mean, it's woke. This is woke. Okay, this is woke. This is an example. Menage a Trois. Not a single commercial that I watch on television has white people in it. And if they do, they're gay or they're lesbians. And mostly they're lesbians, not even gay. Why are white men who make 38% of the population excluded from television? That's not representative. That's not diversity. That's exclusionary. Why are white people who form the majority of this population, 3 out of 4 people in this country are white, despite the lies of the left, 50, 54%. No, it's 75% of the country is white. Yet we appear nowhere on television, in sports. Why is that? Now, in sports, ostensibly it's based on merit, so I'm not going to argue that 65% of the NFL shouldn't be black, which it is, or that 78% of the NBA shouldn't be black, which it is. But don't give me Sports Illustrated where every single month the athlete on the cover is black. Black people make up 12% of the population. And they cover high school sports and college sports, and black athletes don't make up 65, 75, 95% of those sports. The vast majority of high school athletes in this country are white because the vast majority of the population in this country is white. The majority of student athletes, the vast majority in universities around the country, despite the skewed handing out of scholarships to racial minorities, are white. That's woke. That's woke. That's just stupid. Nobody's uplifted by that. Advancing policies for racial exclusion is woke. It's in violation of the Constitution. That's woke. Play Ovambaland. That's the one with the Uktop. Okay, I'm not going to play it here, Christina, because I don't know. I have to check it out in another broadcast because I'm already going to get hit for that one. I'll get a copyright claim for that one. Yeah. Theo Schultz says anti-Semitic means you are anti-Lebanese. Well, technically, Theo, it should mean that. You are correct. But the term has come to mean almost exclusively anti-Jewish. Yes, because all those people are Semites. They're all from the Levant. Everyone in Levant is Semitic. You are 100% correct, Theo Schultz. Spot on. You win the prize of the day for being spot on correct. In practice, anti-Semitic should mean anyone who's anti people from the Semitic groups of peoples. That's why it's so stupid why Jews and Muslims kill each other in the Middle East. They're the same people by and large. It's ridiculous. Saw ads on UK TV recently during a sports match. 90% were black people being shown. Exactly, Charles. Exactly. 90% of the UK is not black. That's ludicrous. Nor is it in the United States. And while we're at it, if we're going to show all these black folks, then why aren't we seeing so many people who are, it's ridiculous. I don't want to go into it. It's ridiculous. And forwarding the addresses. Gmail. What is that? What is Gmail saying? I don't know what that is. Jason Aldean, Small Town, just to piss off. Yeah, I love it. Oh yeah, but I'll go get a copyright claim on that. I'll probably get a copyright strike. I can't risk a copyright strike. We have too much. We have to bring the news every day, so I can't risk a copyright strike. Yeah, Jason Aldean's. Try that in Small Town. I put that on TikTok, but I haven't tried it here. So yeah. So woke is where you have no collective except for stupidity. Okay. I saw ads on UK. Okay. Rajakwa, I personally identify as 6'5" flanker for the Stormers in terms of TV. It's always exactly. Yeah, exactly. Wokeism is the instance that the individual matters more than the collective. Individual above the collective. Yes and no, RJ. You got to be careful of that because remember, you get the woke idiots. It takes a village to raise a child. No, it doesn't. It takes two parents. It doesn't take a village. That's Hillary Clinton's book. It takes a village. So you got to be careful there. Can you add an article? What's an article? An article on what? Christine says, okay, yeah, sorry about it, Christine. I'll check out the song, though. Yeah. Here in the UK, as much as British history as possible is being written to teach young folks, and the 50-year plan is to get in about 48 years for South Africa, or just a year behind at 43. What I really wish to know is why the Africans fleeing to Western countries. Well, we're all aware of what's really going on in Africa. Exactly, Petra. Exactly. America's systemically racist, but they're beating down the doors. They're beating down the doors to come enjoy the racism in America. Come to America, the systemically racist country where the evil white people are ruining everybody. Then why are you pouring in record numbers? I mean, why are you coming in such droves? I'm sorry, I'm thrown off by whoever this Gmail says. All the addresses from their links. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about. You're not giving complete sentences. I don't know what that's about. I can't read what's going on in your head. Die Kleinprade Grund in 7 SAI is nu und Zuckerfeld. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, look, don't even get me started looking at the things that have been destroyed or neglected under the ANC. White men are bad, but what's this? They'll give you, Jojo will give you 5,000 credit card arrival. Yeah. Did you see what the Germans are doing now? The Germans have finally woken up to the stupidity. So the Germans have been giving benefits to criminal alien invaders who invade their sovereignty and come there and then demand public assistance. The German taxpayer has been footing the bill for these people coming from all over the world who are not German while neglecting the needs of Germans. Well, they finally realized that much of that money is simply being sent back in the form of remittances back to wherever the people came from. So the German taxpayer is being robbed, the national wealth of Germany is being taken out, and no one's working. It's different if you come to America and you work in the agricultural sector, like some South African farmers do, and you send money back to South Africa because you're paying taxes here. You're part of you're part of the economy. While I'm not thrilled that people here send money abroad, at least they earn the money and contribute to the economy. But in Germany, they're getting social benefits, not even German. They're being paid for this stuff, and it's sending it all back to wherever, Afghanistan, to Nigeria, to Cameroon, to Iraq, to Syria. They're taking German wealth and sending it abroad, and they're not German. The German government has finally woken up to this nonsense. It took them 20 years to open their eyes. Now you will get a card, and you have to use the card. Idiots. Referring to Assange. Julian Assange. Oh, Gmail. Okay. Well, let me say a couple things here. So let me go back. No, I don't have any strikes against this channel, Art. No. But I don't want to strike. If I get a strike, I can't broadcast for a week. I don't even have a warning on this channel. This channel is clean right now. My warning is gone. I took their little remedial class for a warning from 3 years ago, and it's gone. So, yeah. So that warning is gone. So, yeah, thankfully. Yeah, but Gmail, okay, second one, let me go back to the first one where Gmail is at. I'm trying to answer Gmail's question. Something about releasing email addresses from the FBI. I don't know about that. That shouldn't be done. You're talking about people's personal email addresses? That's not right. August intake of 7 Alpha Company was deployed to Quito Cunavale in Haiti under the command of Captain Butler. Alpha Company consists of 5 infantry platoons. Wow. Dit was zo'n muy parade kamp. En als ik reg is het ons die grootste. No, it's not grootste. I pronounce it correctly. Woeste, is that how you say it? Because it's whoop, so it will be woeste. Kielrad, gehad. Wow, you had a high kill rate. Okay. Black and white photos early in our history back. Required amount of. Okay. Chris, why the tears, my friend? Why? Talking about me? Because it was a moving song. That song always moves me. It reminds me of my time. So that wasn't my war, but I had my wars, and some of them were in Africa too, but not there. You ask why you're speaking ex-trans people, if I understand, or am I wrong? Is Assange so pro-freedom, then why does he only leak U.S. stuff? Exactly. Thank you, Menage a Trois. Oh, thank you so much. That's the most obvious thing we've heard yet. If Julian Assange is so pro-freedom and nobody has secrets, why doesn't he leak Chinese and Russian secrets and Iranian secrets and Australian secrets and New Zealand secrets? No, he targets the U.S. because he's a fraud. He's not a free speech guy. Assange has no findings. Assange simply is a thief. He's a thief. He paid someone to steal information. He's a thief. He's not a free speech advocate. That's not free speech. That's stealing other people's information. That's what that is. Yeah. You've hit it spot on, Menage a Trois. Why has he never released the inner workings of the Chinese Communist Party? Well, you could probably say, well, he doesn't have it. But the fact that he has stuff from America proves that he's only exposing things that he believes are wrong in America. And that's not even remotely even. Whatever he stole should be made public. No, it shouldn't. All right, Gmail, I'm assuming you're not here trolling. And I'm going to tell you this right now. We've had this conversation before on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, sovereign states are entitled to secrecy. That's right. Imagine this. You're the African Union, and you meet with your finance ministers at the AU building in Addis, where I used to work. And in this meeting, you have a secret conversation amongst the finance ministers to discuss a unified position in getting development assistance from the Chinese in the form of grants instead of loans. But you're desperate. The project you're working on has to be initiated soon. You need financing. You can't get it elsewhere. So you take the position that when you approach the Chinese in a unified discussion, you're going to tell the Chinese that you want these terms. And if they say no, you say, well, then we'll have to turn to the African Development Bank. We're in discussions with them. And you will be in discussions with them, or to the IMF. And tell the Chinese, do you really want the IMF to fund us, or do you want to fund us and get access in our countries? Well, because the Chinese have spying devices in the African Union headquarters, they know exactly what your plan is. So when you come and you present this to them, they call your bluff. Nations are entitled to secrets. If you're a man or woman and you're married or have a significant other partner, would you really want your partner to know everything that goes through your head? Tell me you're a man and you never looked at a woman's bum when she walked by and it was shapely when you were with your partner. You've never let your eyes stray. Tell me that, honestly. Come on. If you're a woman, tell me you've never fantasized, ever, about a relationship with another man beyond your partner. Tell me that honestly. There may be a few people like that, but the vast majority of people aren't like that. Everyone's entitled to the secrets. If that information should be made public, then let me have your checking account numbers. Can I have your password so I can get into your account, since there should be no secrets? That's ludicrous. States are entitled to secrets. Julian Assange cost lives. Edward Snowden cost us billions of dollars and cost the lives of a few hundred double agents around the world, particularly in China and especially in Russia. States are entitled to secrecy. That doesn't mean that they're entitled to total secrecy. That's why we have a Freedom of Information Act here in America. And we have a declassification process to ensure that secrets that are no longer to be kept secret are released to the public. But no one has a right to know that information. That's nonsense. Snowden did irreparable harm to global security. Snowden cost the life of many people, and his actions cost the lives of many more people long after his idiotic actions, because he's an egotistical little shit. That's what Edward Snowden is. And Julian Assange is an egotistical little shit who was looking to become famous and overstepped the bounds. Yep. Cover-ups from McConnell. There's no cover-up from McConnell. What? Mitch McConnell has nothing to do with this. I don't like Mitch McConnell. I call him out all the time. It has nothing to do with this. He's too scared to release Russian and Chinese secrets because they'll probably hunt him down. Exactly. The person who released CCP secrets once lived. Yeah, right. Love the female. Ooh, female form. Yeah, there goes Grasshopper. No. Little Miss Know-It-All. Okay, well, Little Miss Know-It-All, you're one of the few. I look all the time, says Leilu. See, there you go. Honest person there. Openly say a woman looks sexy in front of my wife. Yeah, and a lot of couples do that. But a lot don't. Keith is saying that he's following what Gmail saying comment by comment. It makes some sense. Secrecy is used by governments to solicit ignorant public support. Well, that's true, but that doesn't mean that there aren't legitimate secrets. Helen says, love the male form. If you cannot appreciate beauty, how would you appreciate the part of beauty? Exactly. What would be your baseline? If you don't see the person walking down the street with the tight jeans or the shorty skirt or the big biceps and pecs, how do you compare that, your partner to that? How do you know what beauty is? Now McConnell and Pompeo are sitting pretty. Huh? Okay. It's Gmail, now you're trolling. Pompeo's not in government, and McConnell's not sitting pretty. The guy is got early onset Alzheimer's. Well, not early onset, a late onset because he's an old guy, or he's got dementia. What's this? I won't swim in brown water. There's a reason why people wear reflector sunglasses. That's right, Fleshin, because I don't want people to see their responses. Yep. Mark says, when I see big boobs, I always tell Petra about the beautiful T-shirts. Exactly. Did you see that dress she's wearing? It's lovely. You weren't looking at the dress. You weren't looking at the dress. That's right. Come on. Be honest. Be honest. All right. Now, look, it's people are entitled secrets. Little Miss Know-It-All says, I saw your legs, remember? Oh, now I'm going to blush and turn red. But both Pompeo and McConnell's past are full of secrets from people. Well, Pompeo was at the CIA, was he not? So obviously he's got some secrets that are protected. McConnell's a politician. I don't know he's ever done anything else. So, okay, you're not trolling. Okay, Gmail. It appeared that you were beginning to troll there. So thank you for clarifying that. But your sentences are so short, I really don't know where to go with them. But people are entitled to their secrets. Absolutely. All right. Folks, it's been 2.5 hours. I think that's enough for today. Got 98 likes. We didn't quite get to the top number there, but we did get some nice super chat revenue. It's going to give us a little surge here at the end after YouTube takes its cut of 30%. That means that's still going to be over. Yeah, that's cool. Good for today. One new member, and there's 102 likes. Thanks for that. We just zipped up with 3 of them really quickly. Erica needs to stand discussion. Ask the writer about state secrecy. Again, folks, states are entitled to secrets, but they're not entitled to abuse that. That's the difference. That's the difference. That's why we have systems in place in the United States to reveal state secrets. And the fact that the government is still concealing the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy is reprehensible. There's no unless living people were complicit in it and they're hiding it, then it's even worse because then they're covering up crimes. There is no one alive today who will be harmed by what is in that unless they were complicit in the assassination of JFK. That stuff should be out there. I'll get paid to like it. Maybe you'll make it. All right, guys. All righty, that's it. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Tonight I'm on the radio, Common Sense Conservatives. Let me see if I can do a redirect on this. Let me check. I'm checking. This is a test right now if I can adjust something while the program is still live. So let me see if I can do this. I'm going to try this real quick. End screen. No. Yeah, I can't do it while I'm processing. That's what I thought. I was trying to put an end screen on here. So what I've started doing, if you notice some of my videos at the end, there'll be a link to take you to the next video. So I'm trying to promote the Chut Constantia video and also the recent ones I've done to see if they get more views. So we're going to try that going forward. Thank you very, very much. You open big hearts. Well, thank you, Patreon. I try. Thanks for the stream, says Hester. Toodles. Thanks for putting this on. Lee Harvey Oswald is a perfect example of what a Marine can do with a rifle. Yeah, exactly. Gmail says exactly. JFK has a cover-up as well. Yeah, well, JFK, Gulf of Tonkin, cover-up. How about some release of those documents? That'd be nice to know. And Ashley says, see you all tomorrow. All right, folks, good night. Take care. God bless. And thanks for the super chat, pushing us over the top for this month. Appreciate it. love yourself to know how to love your partner. Oh, now we're getting all kinds of philosophical things come in. And I'll catch you guys later on. It's been a pleasure, as always. Cheers, and take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. Yeah, bye-bye. You're welcome, Sue.